walking the dog. Hey, it's the Bennington Show on a rainy Thursday in New York City. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington, Chris Stanley, all hanging out today. Going to make the big announcement. We got a last minute unmasked for Monday. Last minute unmasked for Monday. There's Ian just walked by. Ian Financed, making life happen. But anyway, this next Unmasked we're going to be doing Monday, April 2nd, 11:40 a.m. in the city. And the last time we did this guy, people were laughing, people were crying, people were moved, people were confused. Because there's only one Tracy Morgan.
Yeah,
Tracy Morgan.
That's awesome.
Unmasked.
It's exciting.
I guarantee you come to this one and you'll never forget it because there's no energy like him.
None.
He's got a brand new show called The Last OG. Premieres Tuesday, April 3rd on TBS. I remember having a kind of a similar idea that they're using in the show. I was going to do it with an Italian guy from the 80s, but they're doing it with a black dude from, I guess, the 90s, that he's been in jail for years, and he comes back to a totally different New York.
That's great.
So it's a great premise, and it should be a lot of fun. And like I said, Tracy is one of a kind. So go over to the iBang. Tracy Morgan Unmasked this Monday, April 2nd, 11:40 a.m., right here at the SiriusXM studios, 49th Street and the Avenue of Americas in New York City. But that'll be phenomenal. And Chris said, I'll have some prep for you so you'll know what he's up to. And I go, no prep works with Tracy. You don't know what Tracy is going to come in there. This is one that not only the host, but the audience needs to stay on the balls of their feet at all time.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you got to play this like you're the Seattle defense. You know what I mean? It's all about speed and movement.
Playing zone. Still man on man?
No, there's no man on man with it. But it was the last time we did him. You just look out in the audience and the love people have for Tracy.
Yeah, I mean, years ago, I met him when he was on Saturday Night Live in the street, and I was like, holy shit, Tracy Morgan, and he just hugs me, and he was just the nicest, kindest, coolest dude. Just a big, like, bear hug. Like, he was just so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's known for that. He's known, like, like, some people have daydreams. He puts everybody in his daydreams as he's walking down the street. He pulls people in. All right, so that's this Monday, April 2nd, 11:40 a.m. at the SiriusXM studios. Today is what a lot of people consider the greatest day of the year. It's opening day, and every single ball team is playing an opening day. Chris, I looked at the 538. Your team, 10% chance of winning the World Series.
Yep.
Vito, your team, 1% chance.
That's generous.
My team, 1% chance.
Well, with what the Steinbrenner sons did over in the course of the offseason, you gotta like the Yankees' chances. I mean, Giancarlo should fucking hit 55 home runs.
Yet they're whining like babies.
Of course.
I also see that they're like nowhere near the top of spending like they used to be.
They're not. No, not at all.
And yet they got these big fucking monsters coming out. Bum, 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 bum. Vito, you going to the ball game?
I'm going Saturday.
We need some sun, dude.
It's 55 and hopefully sunny, but today is fucking fog mess outside.
I know. Today doesn't feel like opening day. And normally, like, opening week is always a little bit of a struggle. But, spring is here. You can't get around that. I'm looking at the fucking calendar. We're into Passover tomorrow and Good Friday. And then Sunday, of course, Easter. But last night I saw Ari Shaffir do the entire story of Passover.
Really?
And it was, because he, Orthodox or whatever, when he was a kid, he knows and has talked.
.com.
And there's been a lot of complaints over the years about comedy clubs, but I am guaranteed. And Chris, you're going to look into it.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a Fairfield. Would you do that for me?
I promise you.
I don't want anybody getting any advantage.
No shenanigans.
No shenanigans.
Not one shenanigan, Ron.
Name of my tours, I'm going to Connecticut this Saturday. So come out and see me.
Very straightforward. Tour name.
Yeah, I know. I got to work on the tour names a little more. I saw Sandy on, because I guess she's got something to do with Roseanne.
Yeah, she's in this new season, yeah.
So her tour that she was on MSNBC is called Sandemonium. You've had enough pandemonium. It's time for some sandemonium. Name of my tour is I'll Be in Connecticut Saturday. 2 shows, 7 and 9.
I'm loving
I
this
need
tour.
a better name for that tour. Tourific? Does that work at all?
I like that. But it doesn't really tell people you're going to be in Connecticut this Saturday.
Yeah.
Like that's
true.
That's the advantage of the other name,
That's
the original
true.
name. It lets everyone know you're going to be in Connecticut this Saturday.
But not the whole state of Connecticut, just Fairfield.
Yeah.
So if you're in Connecticut, you may have a drive. I'm not going to lie to you about that. You know,
It's fine.
you got to get to Fairfield.
They have parking. It's fine.
Do they? That's a relief. Because I didn't know where I was going to park. You know, I don't know the neighborhood. I don't have an app that tells me where to park. I know that's a big deal. Tracy Morgan, unmasked. Go to the iBang right now. It's a quick turnaround. It's Monday. So, Vito, did you see this thing up on the iBang today about all the different foods at every ballpark? There is something.
Yeah, I did.
We're in a case right now where people don't want to go to a ballpark and just have a fucking hot dog. And I don't understand it. I've been too trained. Have a hot dog, peanuts, and Cracker Jacks. And then guess what? I don't care if I ever get back. No, I do. I want to get home. I'm not going to lie to you. That's the one part of the song that I didn't sing along with everyone else. Getting back.
The only thing I like to deviate from it all is like I like a sausage and pepper at a game.
Mm-hmm.
But City
Can we
Field-
be honest about something? Sausage and pepper is really almost a hot dog.
It's just a larger
spicy
hot dog.
It's an ethnic hot dog.
It is ethnic. It's Italian. But you know, my problem with that is I want a nice Italian roll. I don't want it on a fucking hot dog bun. And that shit that they do at Yankee Stadium, where the Wonder Bread wrapped around a fucking hot dog, maybe the worst hot dog in the world.
We don't do that at City Field. And we have good Italian bread with our premio sausage.
Well, you also have, because you opened a little later, there's always a lot of specialty food there.
There's a Rayo's, like Rayo's, the famous restaurant. There's a fucking Rayo's stand in there. There's a sushi restaurant.
I don't want sushi at the ballpark. I don't want ballpark sushi. Seems like there's been crates of fish lying in the sun. Maybe that's not true, but that's what I have in my head.
They store it in the bullpen. That's where they're keeping it.
No, here's the other thing, too. You go to Philly and there's great food. You go all the way into the outfield. But sometimes you turn around and you go, what? Second inning? And you have to go running back to your fucking seats.
I think the most adventurous thing I did in that scenario was when I was in Philly. I think I did like a crab fry, which is just there's no crab in it, but they just do the Old Bay seasoning on fries. And I was like, this feels regional. I'll try it.
God forbid that those people should get away from Old Bay, no matter what they do. Old Bay turkey? I don't know.
I've seen people on the Shake Shack line at City Field for an hour, and I'm not exaggerating.
There's Shake Shacks everywhere now. And no, we know you're not exaggerating whenever talking about the line at Shake Shack. I just feel like this, though, is true. When it comes to the barbecue and all that kind of stuff, I don't want a fork at the ballpark. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
I don't want a fork. I want to be traditional. Just like the same. And it's got to be me being fucked up of just being trained since I was a child.
But there's a time and a place for certain foods. Some of these foods are great, just it's the wrong context.
Right, but is that because we're programmed to believe, like, I need a big bag of peanuts? No, I don't want them unshelled. You know what I mean? I want to sit there and break the shells. I wouldn't want to do that anywhere else. But at the ballpark, I want to look down and go, look how much peanuts I ate. Look at all these shells on the ground right now. That's because I ate all these peanuts. My dad used to say it looks like the bottom of an elephant cage, and I would sit there proudly. Think to myself, I ate as many peanuts as an elephant. I remember one time, I think I was at an Eagles game, and my brother-in-law had come from work and met us there, and he had a big giant hoagie, and it fucking smelled so good I wanted to stab him and eat it. It was like the best smelling thing. And I'm like, why don't they sell hoagies here? You can get a roast pork in Philly, too. That's a great sandwich.
Yeah, that is a really good
Very
sandwich.
underrated sandwich, the roast pork. When we were talking with the other day about cults with Mark Norman, and Chris brought up, is it the Nexus cult? Is that the name of it?
It's pronounced Nexium.
Nexium cult.
Like the heartburn
that
medication.
Vanguard ran. And it's fucking so interesting because it was it wasn't like a new agey thing. It was like multi-tier marketing, self-help, corporate talk, and sex slaves.
Yeah.
And some of the sex slaves were in the TV show. They were actors in the TV show Smallville. So he has these
weird
Smallville hotties, and you're just like, how did he pull this gimmick off?
But even before that, did you read that he got a couple like heiresses, and that was what was basically funding?
Yeah. Well, that's what you do. You shoot for, Scientology did it. You shoot for some billionaires and shoot for some famous people, and then you make this gimmick work. And it was like, this dude's got a lot of money, but he's really just abusing a couple people.
He worked him for like $150 million, is what I read.
And that's light for them. I mean, that doesn't even hurt the family.
Yeah, the trust is fine.
Yeah, the trust is fantastic. And didn't they get fucked a lot and spit on and shit?
Yeah,
So
a lot of group sex.
No, they came out of it okay.
Brandon, they got brands.
Brand it. You're in the Nexium cult. What do you do when you're branded? And Vanguard's ready to fuck. Vanguard. Call me Vanguard, everybody. First of all, welcome to the meeting. I'm Vanguard. But this is always fascinating to me because it's the dark side of, comedy and radio. It's like what you can do if you are a good public speaker. And you just go to the dark part of the force.
Yeah.
You become Vanguard. I was just talking to Bobby Kelly about that the other day too. Any good comic could probably at least run a church. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're like, you just take the idea of if you know how to work a crowd.
Right.
And then you just apply that to whatever idea you want to do, whether that's comedy or whether just like, you can help yourself. You're the best you. And
yeah,
like
I am.
If you do-
That's right. That is true. I am the best me. So if I think it, I can be it. There's never any ideas
secret, man.
There's never any ideas that you never heard before.
No, never.
They're just rebranded.
Which is the same as a therapist.
Yeah.
Like, has anyone ever really heard a breakthrough thing from a therapist? Like, eventually you're like, yeah, I know. That is true. But you know what I mean? Like,
so dumper? Is that what I should do, dumper?
It's toxic, huh? This relationship?
It is. So I'm repeating patterns? That's what I'm doing? It's because my mom, right? Because of my mom stuff? I don't know what was with her. She wanted a really neat bedroom. Everyone's got so many complaints about the way they were raised,
Yeah, everyone does.
Either your dad fucking paid too much attention, he wanted you to do good, or he had a couple drinks, you know what I mean? Or God forbid he missed your fucking ball game. Who gives a fuck? Did he show up for any of your math tests?
I liked when my dad missed the ball games.
Of course you did. You like when your dad missed Christmas.
Oh, good, he's not around.
Well, Mark Norman just said that thing the other day too about dad's home, that fucking scary feeling that you could get when your dad would finally come home. The dad is always on the outside of the family. I don't give a shit. If he's not, if someone says I like my dad more than my mom, you had the worst fucking mom.
Because even or like maybe I'm thinking of my own mom, but I think that I've heard other people have that experience where if like the mom could almost be an extension of like the children. So it's just like she's like somewhere in between because she speaks our language and she'll play with us and she, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so
she's going to color with you or whatever that fucking shit kids think is important.
Yeah. So therefore you're just like, she's not like other adults. She's my mom.
She's friendly.
Don't worry. You can trust her. She's my mom.
I remember I said to you guys, I'm not going to fucking color with you. I'm an adult. There's a ball game on TV right now. Am I going to get down on the floor? Start coloring shit?
It's fun.
Is it?
I just want to see all the choices you'd make with that.
Bum, 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 bum. Chris, what's the name of my tour again?
It is the Ron Bennington is going to Connecticut for 2 shows tour.
Should be Fairfield Comedy Club in there somewhere.
Okay, going to Fairfield Comedy Club.
And Saturday, 7 and 9.
Saturday, 2 shows, 7 and 9 p.m., fairfieldcomedy.com, 4 tickets.
I might try to get a Nexium thing going if there's some hot chicks that want to be in a slave cult. Sexy slave cult. Like 50 Shades.
And they can only eat 600 calories of food a day. I believe that was one of his rules.
Yeah, he likes his babes to be nice and thin.
He likes to see a rib.
Passing out.
I've not seen or read any of the 50 Shades, but from the last trailer, is there like a role reversal? Because I just feel like she's like, seems very empowered in this next one.
That's the gimmick that they always send you in the bottom top thing. That you become a good bottom before you can become a good top.
So maybe it's a role reversal.
Now, see, I read all 3 books. She never really becomes a top, but it is revealed that Christian Grey was a bottom for a time.
Well, we got that in the first movie.
Yeah,
when
but
we met that old lady.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I don't know. I saw the stuff and she's just like, I'm Mrs. Grey. And like, shit, I'm like, you know, like he's like calling her things and then she's just, I don't know. She seems like she's sassing back to him.
Yeah, she's pegging him. Here's what, like,
I'm literally just going off of trailers that I see every year for these movies.
You got everything.
I saw the
sassier.
I seen the first one on TV, but I saw the trailer for the third one, and she's still amazed how much shit he owns. Like, what? You own this whole thing? We do. We own it. Because I'm sharing it with you now.
But you made me sign a prenup.
Yeah. As long as you don't fuck up, this is yours.
And I want to buy a company and make you the boss. That was one of the things in the second one.
Look who it is. We haven't talked to him forever. He's in between a Hard Rock and a Johnny. Hard Rock Johnny.
Jenny.
Benningtons.
What's up, buddy?
Happy opening day for baseball.
You're not much of a baseball fan, are you, Johnny?
No,
you don't like your Yankees.
I'm a massive Yankee fan. What, are you kidding me? I'll be there on opening day for my traditional hot dog.
What inning do you leave? Third, fourth? When do you head home?
I will say that we talked about my leaving, and I will say that after scoring 2 tickets to Derek Jeter's final game, I left in the 3rd inning.
Unbelievable.
So fucked
well, but it was the Giants' first game of the season, so
it's Jeter.
Giants, yeah, that's fine. I saw him take the field. I didn't see him get the winning hit, but you know,
you didn't see history.
No,
you didn't see baseball history.
The storybook ending.
I still have the ticket and stuff. So up until now, only one other person knew that I left early. Now everyone kind of knows, so I can't lie about
it. No, but for your own experience, imagine like if your grandfather would have said to you, "Yeah, I went to Mickey Mantle's last game. I left in the 3rd inning." Why? Oh, I wanted to get home and fucking do some gardening.
Bullshit.
I went home to watch the Giants play. They beat the Cowboys that night, so that was important.
Yes, that happens all the time. There was only one last game for Jeter.
I know, that's all right. But I will be at Yankee Stadium, and for the 9th, this will be so this is the 10th anniversary of the new Yankee Stadium. And
wow.
I believe it's either 9 or 10, but every year I have eaten the first hot dog on opening day that is sold at Yankee Stadium. I have, because I'm always in there a couple minutes before everyone else, and I get a hot dog, and it's every year. I'm going to get a little plaque, I think, in the outfield at some point.
This sounds like something like a prissy little rich boy would brag about.
Daddy gets me the first hot dog every season.
I buy my own. Thank you very much.
How do you get in so early, Johnny? What do you do?
I work
blow a guard.
No, I work there. I happen to have a Hard Rock Cafe that's in Yankee Stadium, and I have a little ID that has my photo on it.
No,
And he wants a goose that lays gold eggs for Easter.
Yay!
I have not blown a guard, I promise you.
Okay, Johnny. Okay, have it your way. Have it your way. Well, Johnny, good luck to you and your team this year. You think you're going all the way? You feel it?
I think they have a good run in them this season.
That's the way you're supposed to feel on opening day.
Yeah.
Very deep playoff run.
Well, best of luck to you, Johnny.
And to you as well.
Enjoy your opening hot dog and your 3-inning game. Peace, buddy.
Later.
Johnny. I wonder why he's not having the fancy foods. Scott, Tennessee.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
2 questions. Is a burrito in a bowl legit for a ball game?
Well, anything is legit now for a ball game. We understand in the old days, no. There's just one food. But yes, this thing up on the iBang, I forget what it came off of Thrillist. Every ballpark now has specialty foods. And of course, a swimming pool and a fucking miniature golf thing and anything but the game.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Second question. I have type B flu and I haven't eaten in 2 days. My mom, fantastic cook, has offered up either chicken salad, tuna salad, or egg salad. What's the safest route?
Easiest on your belly, I'm going to say egg salad. That's
my gut says tuna salad.
Really?
Yeah.
The lady picks chicken salad.
Wow. That's weird.
And that was my first thought.
Yeah.
It's like chicken salad, that's definitely going to be easy.
I think I would put chicken salad as the toughest, then tuna fish. But egg salad is so bland. It's something like, you know how an old lady will I'll have a poached egg. Very poached. I can't really have a decent bowel movement. So just a light poached egg, some dry toast. Don't even toast it. Just have it look at the toaster and bring it back over and eat it nice and soft. No orange juice. Orange juice is like fucking drinking razor blades when you're coming out of a sickness.
Yeah. And when you hit a certain age as well, suddenly orange juice is not possible.
They also say it's not good for you, but I find it to be delicious.
Yeah. Now, what was the scenario? Was it orange juice or grapefruit? I think it was either grapefruit or orange juice or something. I gave you something, and Chris immediately grabbed his heart and took a knee. I thought he was having a heart attack, but it was just the acid.
Pineapple.
That's what it was. Pineapple.
Okay. Love it.
And he was just
fucks me
ah.
Yeah.
He was
I used to love pineapple juice, but when I joined Nexium, upstate cult, it's one of the things that we do not do. And then I got pegged by Vanguard, and that helped me understand.
They're tough.
But fair.
There's Trump and his family in happier days. Trump gave a wonderful phone call to Roseanne that she was bragging about today, saying this puts me over the top. And finally, somebody out there is backing us. Since we have to do this unexpected thing on Monday, I think to start the show on Monday, we'll do the Roseanne Unmasked, and then we'll come back live after Tracy Morgan.
That's a great one.
I don't, I always put these things out of my mind. So it'll be interesting to hear again.
Well, I was present in the audience for it, and I remember it being great.
And actually, she's very Tracy Morgan, too. She's,
Yes.
She's with you for a moment. Next moment, you're out somewhere else, back with you again. You're like, oh, she's smart. She's crazy. She's smart. She's crazy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. She's funny. Does she mean that?
She's funny. She's funny. She's cruel. She's crazy. She's smart. Well, the middle America loves her and loves the pro-Trump message. And she said Trump was incredibly kind to her after watching the program. And he said to her, looks like we got 2020 in the bag as long as this is holding up.
It's weird because he won an election. He's like, this is the thing that's going to push us over.
He likes the election part more than anything else.
That's
so he's thrilled.
Yeah.
About the stuff coming up, the midterms, and he's already put in for the next one. He's already done stuff for it. And it's smart, actually, because he wants to make sure that he's out there before any Republicans can come against him.
Mhm.
They all slammed the Bush family yesterday, too. The
Did
Trump family, yeah. Because Bush did a thing and said, my kids love me. And the Trumps took it personal. And they tweeted back, well, Roseanne loves our dad. So what's that fucking mean? That's the real America. The America that can't see the ocean. You see an ocean, you're a creep.
Yep.
Except for the southern part.
Oh.
That's great.
You can see an ocean from a southern view.
Any ocean south of, let's say, Virginia is great. Northern and western oceans, fuck you. Go join your Nexium crew with the Vanguards. I'm going to try to get that going in Connecticut this weekend, particularly the 7 o'clock show. It's nice and early. You're going to see me walk on stage in the 7 o'clock show, still eat my dessert. I didn't want to put down this apple strudel. You like an apple strudel, Chris?
I love an apple strudel.
I'll bring you one back from Connecticut.
Thank you.
I'm going to get everybody presents from Connecticut.
I can't wait. This is so sweet.
Beautiful up there this time of year. Fairfield.
It's fairfieldcomedyclub.com for tickets. It's Saturday, March 31st.
I already got something for Vito. It's a bobblehead.
It's true, bobblehead?
It doesn't matter what kind of bobblehead it is. He likes any head that bounces. That's our fucking Vito. I'm gonna get a Roseanne thing, I'm just gonna yell, Roseanne rocks. And everybody be like, yes. She isn't some snowflake fucking, I don't know, what else do they say?
Social justice warrior?
She's not a social justice warrior, snowflake.
Libtard?
I saw, I brought up Sandemonium was on the show. One of the MSNBC shows, and I'm like, what is it about Roseanne? Why is everybody back and all this? And she was great. And then he goes, well, thanks for being here, Roseanne. And she goes like this. And I have some dates that I'm touring.
Oh my God.
And he had to look over, and he's like, oh yeah, here they are. And I'm yelling at my TV. She's not there for fun, motherfucker. Sandemonium tour is taking place. I like those moments on TV.
Yeah, me too.
Be a broadcaster, bitch. Do something.
I believe that was promised plugs.
Why else would you go? That's why Chris fucking slurs through plugs all day.
All day long. Like Ron Bennington's going to be at Fairfield Comedy Club.
We already did that.
Okay. FairfieldComedyClub.com.
You kept going, didn't you, Chris? You had to keep going.
I wanted to get the actual...
You're risking that strudel right now.
You didn't even mention Nexium.
Go join the Nexium cult.
Thank you. Particularly if you're a hot young chick and you've been on TV.
The Ron Bennington chapter of Nexium.
Chapter? What am I in the fucking Knights of Columbus?
I wasn't sure the right word to use, so I threw chapter out there.
Bobby in Vegas. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron, thanks for the flashback. Just reminded me when you said that how Johnny got into the Yankee game early when Vito was caught in the parking lot of that work site blowing that security guard.
Maybe best Sopranos ever. Not our Vito.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Vito.
I was like, wait a second.
The funniest thing ever is when he was the little fat leather boy.
That was so good.
A little leather daddy.
Yeah, but he was so little and chubby.
Cakes.
Hey, Bobby, you're in Vegas, huh?
Oh, yes.
The Comedy Cellar is opening up a Vegas Comedy Cellar this weekend that is supposed to look exactly like the Comedy Cellar in New York.
Yeah, and it's in a great place, too. It's inside the Rio. Which
it's the next weekend.
April 5th. The Thursday, April 5th is the day it opens, yeah.
Okay, great. And you know this place, the Rio there?
Yeah, it's right across the street from the Palms. It's the one with it's one of the older casinos, but it just got renovated, which is pretty cool. That's why they're adding all those new clubs there, because the way that Brad Garrett's club is doing well, the Tropicana club is doing well, where I saw Norton Boss was just at the MGM. So, comedy is strong here in Vegas.
Yeah,
comedy
comedy's strong around the country right now, and actually even around the world. People are really becoming international comedians. So it's interesting. But if you get You get a chance, Bobby. Go over and give us a review. All right, that's next week, Chris. It opens up
April 5th, Thursday, April 5th.
All right.
Will do.
Peace.
Thank you.
Hey, BL, what's happening?
Well, I just called to say, is this the Easter Benny? Give me a review, Bob. Fucker, while you're at it.
Here's the thing with you, BL. You know what works well? Your timing. That long pause while you checked around for a note to come up with Easter Benny. That was fantastic.
No, Easter Benny's mine. I'm sure somebody will steal it by next Easter.
Nobody cares. You know what it reminded me of? Did you see that thing up on the iBang where Oscar Isaac is getting slapped 27 straight times by Princess Leia? And the funny thing about it is, so it's, she slaps him in the movie. They do 27 takes, this time over time, that he's slapped in his dumb fucking face. But what's amazing to me is the first take looks perfect. There's no problem at all with that first take.
Did they just hate him? And they're just like, I don't think we got that.
You're demoted. Wait, for what? You're demoted.
58, take 2.
You guys talking behind my back? What's going on?
What do you do to ride that fucking level, Chris? Any idea?
Got it.
Look at that, just slap after slap after slap.
It seems on purpose. There's none of this looks bad. You could use any of these.
I don't know. All right, bring it down now, Chris. A slap in the face is always funny to me.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
You don't see it enough in life.
Stooges. It's very Three Stooges.
Yeah.
You know who sees it a lot? Your mom. I don't like cold sides. Everything has to come out at the same time. Or you get the slap, Nexium style. I could see BL joining a fucking cult, but being asked to leave. Like, she'd be one of the few people they're like, you know what? You're not right for Scientology.
No, thank you.
Something going on there, Chris? You need to write to me?
Yes, I'm writing you a note.
What's he saying about me?
All sorts of shit, BL.
It says, fuck BL, she's skinny like a bird, and I also think she has bird diseases.
Just because of the skinniness?
Then he also wrote, P.S. She shit on my shoulder. Is that good luck? Is it if BL shits on your shoulder when she's flying over?
I have to take it as good luck.
BL, when do you start crying? When do we get crying BL?
27 times at Sirius XM with you people. I have cried more tears.
How many times have you told us that you're done with Florida and you're moving? You've been saying that for years, BL. You're going to fucking die on the beach down there with the rest of the seagulls.
Oh, somebody's just chuckling his ass.
That's him. He's laughing right at you, too.
He's enjoying it.
Right in your bird face.
Oh, see, that's not nice. See, do I talk about your body, Stanley, or Vito? People are pretty no matter what they got going.
That's really nice. She said something really smart there. People are pretty no matter what they got going on. That's beautiful.
So true. No matter how fucked up they look. They're pretty.
Turn that into a T-shirt that nobody will buy.
No, you put a yeast infection.
Hey, BL, what's going on with you and QVC? Is that still happening, your invention?
No, but I'm coming to New York City to the garment district in about 3 weeks, and I'm going to stop by one of your shows and be in the rafters. You're never going to know I'm there, Benny, ever.
But what happened with you? You had a big deal going on, right?
I do have a big deal going on.
Can you tell me about it, or is it a secret deal?
Well, I'm part with a chick, real quick. She is the real founder. She founded it, but we thought of a girl's, I would say, call it a garment. I'm on a non-disclosure.
So you thought of a whole new garment for women?
Yeah.
Does it?
I thought of something to make Chris's dick look bigger. I didn't invent it, but I did invent this.
Did you invent underwear that makes your vagina look bigger?
Well, Gail, I don't.
Now,
I just can't talk
smaller.
Can you ever talk about your other invention that you couldn't do that they thought was too big for them to ship?
It was called the Fandelier. I invented that son of a buck, and a rich chick was sitting next to me, stole it. It's $900. You have a fan that has an actual chandelier, but it has the fan going round and round.
Well, first of all, I didn't even know about the Fandelier. I was talking about the Lazy Susan. Well, I was talking about the Lazy Susan for pants.
No, I was going to call Suzanne Summers and tell her about inventing the Lazy Suzanne, and you put all your shoes on the spinner, like the old times. Remember the 50s? They had that thing that went round and round.
So you invented something that's already been invented.
Like a shoe rack on a wheel.
Yeah, but this would be for all your clothes.
Okay, got it.
So it would fit into the corner.
Like the way you would see in a clothing store.
Yes,
like a circular rack.
you basically have a clothing store thing, the Lazy Shoesin'. And there's shoes, pants, Lazy Shoesin'. But the Fandelier, is that catching on right now? Are people putting chandeliers on their fans this way? There's even more of a chance that their children could be killed walking underneath of it.
No, brother. It's for a lady that likes her little clinky shit. You know, the little prisms that clink like the old days in the 1800s? Well, you get that on your fan, 'cause a man has to have a fan on his penis to dry his wiener.
All right, see, here's the thing, BL. When you're serious, you're funny. And when you attempt to be funny, you're stupid. So just tell us your actual hopes and dreams, and we'll laugh at them. That's the way for you to get over. I could sell a Netflix thing of BL coming out and just talking about what she would love her future to be. Seriously.
Yeah.
And people would be laughing.
No. I'll see you fuckers at the top. I will see you at the top of New York City. As high as the Empire fucking State Building.
BL, calm it down. Here's another problem that you have with timing. Something funny was happening, so you started screaming to stop it, and then we fell into that awkward period, okay?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
Let the bit breathe, BL.
I know.
Remember what I told you? Remember what advice I told you? To take your fucking belt, hang it to the Fandelier, and let yourself commit suicide while you're flying around the room?
So elegant, though.
Yeah.
Son, that's not nice to act like I'm going to commit suicide. I ain't never checking out because I'm going to stalk you pricks till you die.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Last breath, Benny.
Yeah. Don't try and be funny. Be a person.
I am being a person. I'm calming down. I'm going to go listen to some Thin Sleazy. Tonight there's going to be a jailbreak. You can get all kinds of shit on Sirius XM. When you guys are on, I'm listening to that shit.
Stop yourself. Okay?
Hey,
now, the fact that you thought you could come up with a funny name for Thin Lizzy. I got a big guest I got to bring in, BL.
No!
Say it, Chris.
Simon Pegg, Mr. Simon Pegg. He's in Ready Player One. Ready Player One is playing now in theaters. Simon Pegg is in studio. Ready Player One is playing now in theaters everywhere.
Good to see you, buddy.
Nice to be here.
And congratulations on being in a big, giant Steven Spielberg movie.
It's a very nice thing to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the way that you grew up, while that movie is going on, are you just thinking to yourself, there's Steven Spielberg?
Every single time I see him, yeah. I mean, I grew up on a diet of Spielberg movies, and he kind of shaped my tastes and my love of film in many ways. And so to get to work with him is an absolute treat. And I still, even now, whenever I see him, I just sort of want to hug him.
Well, we were talking about that before. Generations of filmmakers and fans grew up on Spielberg so much that we take it for granted almost. You know what I mean? Like we just think, oh yeah, that's the way you make a movie. But I remember seeing Jaws and thinking to myself, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and I think it's because he manages to invest big cinema, sort of spectacle cinema, with genuine artistic sensibility. You know, he's a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And even though he's making ostensibly pure entertainment some of the time, he manages to make it feel authentic and round and, you know, unworthy because of his talent is just so, he's not just, you know, creating light shows or
yes. Well, because there's so much humanity to him too.
Yeah.
You know, like you can feel his heart, and particularly when we're talking about the way it's meant to generations is because he taps into something so youthful and pure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when you kids were little and we went to see Jurassic Park. And it's one thing like when you see your children like, oh my God, what's happening? But I remember thinking, because we hadn't really seen that kind of thing, what is there? Dinosaurs for real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how?
As a kid watching it, it's just like, well, this is real. Like it just felt like anything was possible.
Right.
And that film
it was
holds
just magic.
up. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
It holds up obviously as a piece of drama, but the T-Rex sequence in the rain
Yeah.
is still as good now as it was then, you know?
And just when he came onto that valley and there was just the wonder of seeing dinosaurs everywhere,
Yeah.
like that thrilling thing of, well, this feels like it could happen. This could happen.
I'm glad to hear that too, because I always think, even all of the advancements that we've had, I still don't think anything has looked as good as that.
Yeah.
Because there was just such a good combination of using the technology and using actual, tangible, real things, and together the way he did that was just
Absolutely.
like...
The T-Rex particularly, there was a
Yeah.
big model, and
Yeah.
he had physical stuff as well. They used puppets, and the combination of the two created a real sense of proximity. You know, you felt like they were there. And it's interesting to look at that film, which is 24 years old, and it still feel... You know, not all of it. Some of it you can see as the beginnings of CG, but certainly that one sequence is peerless, I think.
Yeah, and again, because now you expect to see things like that, but we didn't before. I remember Close Encounters of the Third Kind. People started to see the space UFOs were just all over the world. You know what I mean? Like people were like, "Yeah, I saw one too."
Yeah, that's marketing. That was
So you get to do this, and this is another one of those things where we've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, but also a kind of it's interesting because I feel like it's a future which isn't entirely unlikely. It feels to me we're on the trajectory right now that takes us to that point. And whereas some science fiction you watch and you know that it's a kind of it's a punt that we might be there.
Right.
Particularly when you look at a film like Blade Runner, which was set in 2019, and that's next year. And we're not in a dark dystopian rainy neon world right now. It's not going to be like that next year. But I feel like we might be there in 2044. We might be living in a virtual world. You know, it's not entirely unlikely.
And that was to me some of the, like when you would see the scenes where, and I don't want to give even anything away to people, but you're walking through the neighborhood and you can see people in the virtual world, but no one's acting like, oh, look at her, she looks great. You know what I mean? It's just, that's life now. It's like seeing somebody in a car.
Well, it's the same thing as if, 10 years ago, you'd have seen a film where people are all looking down a little thing in their hand and wrapped up in that's now.
Yes.
And yet 10 years ago, that would have seemed like science fiction, that we were all on these personalized, immersive data hubs.
And the same people who bitch about that, and I'm one of them, do it every day. You know what I mean? I'm like, what's with these kids?
I remember seeing a guy with a cell phone like in 1995 and thinking, you idiot, what are you doing? Are you poser? And now that's just, nobody blinks an eyelid now.
No.
Even in the early aughts, as they started to become more popular, I remember thinking people who were using them often or walking down the street on their phones, I was like, well, come on, that's excessive. And now you would, there's no place that you couldn't take a call, text someone.
Exactly.
Everyone expects that everyone's going to be doing that everywhere.
The technology not only has increased exponentially, but our acceptance of it has as well,
Well, this is the other thing that's really strange about this. There's nostalgia for games of the 80s. There's nostalgia. Like, we're used to people being nostalgic about music. That was always a primal thing, no matter what generation. But now people are looking back at games going, oh, that was a simpler, easier time in our life. Asteroids.
But I think that's more to do with the fact that it's related to literally a simpler, easier time in our lives, which was our childhood.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of that in this film. The film is about a man, essentially, who creates a world that enables him to stay in the past, because he's not able to communicate with other people in the real world. He is, socially awkward and feels much more at home in this very simpler kind of world where he lived when he was a kid, And we're all guilty of that in some respects now, because if you look at the vast majority of big entertainment now is stuff that is either from our childhood or, and I say our childhood, I mean kids who are now in their 40s or whatever, or things that we've seen before. It's this desperation to just look backwards because looking forwards is too scary. So we want to claw back what we had because it was easier then and nicer then. Let's go back to when, that's why we're seeing the same films again and again.
Yeah. And there's also, I think, because that was your technology when you were at the age that you would learn faster, it felt easier because the older you get, the harder it is to adapt to the whole new technology. But you see children doing it immediately.
Yeah. Like my daughter was born into touchscreen, technology, and it's funny to see her trying to do it on magazines and television because she thinks that's what will do that. It'll move around,
And there's even theory that it's in their DNA because their parents or grandparents started.
Or like genetic memory.
Yeah. So that's really, really strange. There's a video out today of a grandmother yelling at her granddaughter because she doesn't know what a rotary phone is, and she doesn't know how to spin it.
Yeah.
And she's trying to press.
She's trying to press the numbers and all, and you're like, oh yeah, because it doesn't work right.
And here's a weird one that I thought. I was like, I mean, if you think about it, you're like, okay, rotary phone. We all know that to be an old technology. Yeah. But the thing that was really weird is that her granddaughter was going, but I don't understand why there's letters on this.
Yeah.
Because, their keyboard is disassociated from numbers, so they don't think of it as the same. So she's like, but why is there letters on this?
But I think it's wrong. It's wrong to decry somebody for not knowing that because it's gone. It's
gone.
Obsolete,
right?
And to worry about children not understanding obsolescence is that's not healthy.
There had to be a generation that was screaming that their kids couldn't start a fire with rocks, and they're like,
"Of course,
they use these matches.
Don't you know how to use flint? You idiot! No, I've got a lighter."
Well, we watched the movie with Vito and his friend, and they were getting the references so much faster. Like they were getting 3 references to every one of mine, and I literally felt like behind the 8 ball in this. And every once in a while, I would just yell, "There's Batman!" like an idiot, But this thing comes at you so fast.
It does, and I think it's a layer of the film which isn't entirely essential, really. I mean, my daughter watched it. She's 8, and she didn't get any of that subtextual stuff, really.
Right.
Maybe a couple of the films that I've shown her, Back to the Future, those kind of things. But ultimately, there's an adventure there which you can watch just that and enjoy it. Then you can go back, and if you want to be a completist and play cultural bingo, you can watch the film 25 times and spot every single reference that's in there. But the references themselves are dressing. Do you know what I mean? They're there to create this world that Halliday invented.
There was even a moment where there's a car, like a chase sequence, and there's a couple things that I was catching, like, oh, that's a reference to this and this, and then I was like, oh wait, all of those are references. And I probably just don't understand some of the newer ones.
Well, it's of its time. This is a period of immense sort of nostalgic looking back, and this film is the it's the culmination of all of that, really. But
I went home in a cab after this, and I felt like I was coming down from a mescaline high. Like I wasn't. Reality was a little tinged to me on the whole way home.
It is. It's an incredibly visceral experience. I found watching it was overwhelming, and in a good way. But you do feel, like, okay, so what is virtual and what is real? And that's the future that it's kind of proposing, I think. But
even when we're in Times Square now, now I look back at like 80s Times Square and I'm like, why did people even care? Because some light bulbs? Because you're seeing screens in Times Square that
different.
Are better than any screen I've ever seen in my life.
It's because Times Square was very dangerous in the 80s.
Yes, and it was fun.
But think of even...
It was more of an adventure to get from one side to the other.
Yeah.
It was like that race in Ready Player One.
But even if you look at the difference between Times Square, 15 to 20 years ago, that, I mean, the changes that have happened, there was like 1 or 2 moving screens, but it still had mostly flashing bulbs and lights twinkling.
And that was enough for people.
Yeah, and that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
That was not that long ago. And now it looks like Tokyo. Now it's just like everything is moving and the lights.
And it won't be long before there were holograms and there were 3D light shows, and people go, "Oh, remember when it was just screens? That was great."
Yeah, that was so lovely.
That's my New York.
Oldie worldy New York of just screens.
You gotta wonder how far we are before like VR, where all the work that we love about film is going to be like silent film. You know what I mean? Like, who knows if kids in the future will be able to go back and watch Goodfellas and go, "What is this?" You know? It's like reading a book to them.
I don't know because I think like 2D entertainment, as is like film, is an art form in itself, you know, and there might be a new art form which arrives, which is 3D immersive virtual cinema. Maybe you'll be able to walk into your own adventures, but I think film as an art form will persist because it's like painting. I mean, just because film came along, painting didn't disappear. But yeah, there are interesting parallels to the evolution of sound in film and whether, because obviously silent films don't exist anymore, but they could.
Yeah, they could.
The Artist won Oscars a couple of years ago.
Yeah, The Artist did, but that was, and again, because that was actually shot so beautifully.
Yeah,
and it was
like a nostalgia piece.
Yeah, it really was. And you could sit there and go, "Oh, this is what it felt like to watch a film."
But I think with sound coming along and color, those things evolved film to a point where it is now, and I don't know how much further it can go now. Obviously, you get 3D. I'm a bit ambivalent about 3D, to be honest. I don't tend to watch films in 3D. I would watch this one in 3D because I feel like it's something that you really want to delve into and kind of be in an immersive way. And I feel it has value in made-up worlds, less so in the real world. When you see films that are just about your world, seeing them in 3D is no biggie. But when you see films like Avatar, say, which is a completely realized universe, 3D actually is probably quite a good idea. But I think film has now has got to a point now where that's it now. It's a 2D experience on a screen, and it's 2.5 hours long if you're making a long film, or 90 minutes hopefully if you're making a good film. I mean, a comedy has to be shorter than that's my opinion. But a new thing will come along, VR film. I've seen a VR film. It's kind of extraordinary.
Yeah. And we're at it's kind of interesting that we're at the earliest stages of that. And we haven't found that one genius, you know what I mean? That Cecil D. DeMille, that's going to change everybody's perception of like, oh, this is the way to go with that. That's what I thought was interesting about the most interesting thing about this field is it was Spielberg doing it, Yeah. So you're like, here's this guy who has this immense understanding of film, and now he's taken us to another level.
Yeah.
I found that to be just fascinating.
Absolutely, and at the moment, all that technology is very nascent, and people don't really know, how to make a movie. Well, they do, but only a few people have made movies with a 3D 360 camera,
right?
So that you can then walk into it. I saw a little film. There was a short about you're walking around and a meteor crashes and a monster gets out and it grows and grows and grows and you're literally, you can look anywhere in it and you can look at the action or you can look at the people that are looking at the action.
Right.
But I haven't seen a film yet which has been fully kind of made use of that technology in a way that really works.
Right. And that'll be because we need an artist to do that, not a technician,
True. We also need to be able to walk around. We need to be able to be on the omnidirectional treadmill. So you can actually, because the weird thing about VR is it can make you feel sick because it's moving, but you're not moving, and your brain assumes that you've been intoxicated and makes you throw up. So a lot of people get sick when they watch VR.
And that's the reason, because your brain has no idea why this reality is taking place around you.
Your brain thinks you've got the spins.
Yeah.
And it just goes, okay, you're going to throw up now. You must be drunk or poisoned.
When we tried it in here, I was like having to hold the desk because I was feeling like so uneasy because it was moving you up and moving you around, and the sensation was really weird to me.
But remember, like in the 1800s where they had that train film and people would dive on the ground because there was nothing to make them think that's not a train about to hit us.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, my friend. You get to do so many amazing things, and I think a lot of that just had to be with the fact that you're always awake when these things pop up.
It's a competition I won, a lifetime supply of blockbuster movies. I just answered a thing on the back of the cereal box, and here we are.
All right, Chris, give us all the details.
Simon Pegg's been in studio, and Ready Player One's playing now in theaters everywhere.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so
Is
much.
that John Williams on that soundtrack? I didn't even know.
That is not John Williams, no.
It's sounding very John Williams, though.
Oh,
I'd point that out to whoever did it.
Alan Silvestri.
Oh, good for you, Alan. John's got to be getting up there a little bit, you know?
Yeah, he's actually just said he's retired from doing any more Star Wars films. He will not score another Star Wars film.
Me too. I'm not going to either. Both of us are in the same position. Don't you love that Simon Pegg?
I do.
Yeah.
Can I say something about Simon Pegg? First of all, it was so cool to meet him. That was my first time meeting him. He smells so good.
Yes.
He smells so good.
Yeah. How does a man smell good and not obnoxious? That's the
I
tough
don't
thing.
know.
Because most of the time when a man tries to smell good, he smells
Yes,
obnoxious.
I'm not a big fan of like cologne that is like chokes you.
I
don't
use
know what
Axe
it
body spray, and I'm doing pretty well with it.
Really?
Yeah.
I hear the ladies love it.
From what I understand, they go crazy. We got somebody else stopping in now, Chris, huh?
In just a few moments, Anthony Atamnik is stopping in. The Make America Great-a-thon, a President Show special, that airs Tuesday, April 3rd at 11 p.m. on Comedy Central.
He got to get Roseanne for that. That seems to be the get right now, you know? She's MAGA. MAGA. But yes, if you look around in the cool movies that Simon Pegg has done, or just, especially he, grew up that geek, and that's an unbelievable thing to be able to pull off.
Yeah. And he's like got such a uniquely funny, sweet delivery, which is like very different than the way he is in person. But yeah, I'm a big fan of his and his smell.
What was the first thing we saw him in? Was it the zombie movie?
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead is the first thing I saw him in.
Yeah. And he co-wrote that? Did those guys
he
write
wrote
together?
and directed it.
No, he didn't direct. The other guy.
Oh,
did.
yeah, that's right.
What's his name, Vito?
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, who we're always trying to get. So, yeah, but he's like the Owen Wilson to Edgar Wright.
Yes.
So he gets to do those cool films when they get together, but at the same time, he goes to do those blockbusters. He does the Mission Impossibles, the Star Treks, and now the Steven Spielberg big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to do, like, that's always the coolest thing, is if you get to be in the indie world and then make tons of money doing the other stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's like what everyone wants to be doing now. That's like, if you notice, like that kind of like the blockbuster, like this one's for me.
But the thing is, it's hard to do either. It's really hard to do either one of those things. And every once in a while, there he is. And his hair's dark now. Chris.
Anthony Atamnik, he's coming in studio. The Make America Great-a-thon, a President Show special, airs Tuesday, April 3rd at 11 p.m. on Comedy Central.
All right, before anything else, that's a really cool coat that you had rocking. The coat.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool coat. It's got like a built-in like dicky.
Yeah.
It's got like a little insert that makes it look like you have an open coat.
How's things going for you? Crazy?
Yes. The last couple of weeks are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we did, I think, about 16 hours yesterday.
Wow.
We're running into taping on Monday and then airing on Tuesday for the special.
Is it fun, though? Are you having fun with all the...
Yeah, it's always a mix of like you're having fun and then there's like it's a sine wave, right? You go from having fun to like fixing problems to having fun to fixing problems. But this one I'm really excited because we have this short film that I got to make that's very sort of like Ingmar Bergman-y that we're doing on the show, and I'm sure it'll alienate a lot of viewers, but I'm excited about it.
It's good to get to people on both sides. You're able to pull that off.
Yeah.
But there's always funny, there'll be somebody like, that's just amazing, and you'll believe that person and keep following yourself down that path.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking for just the one person who will validate motivated,
right?
Besides all the other people who were like, it seemed weird, like the edit was weird, and you're like, no, it was purposeful.
But you know, when you jump into big projects, everyone has these daydreams about what they want to do with their career. But in your daydream, there's never a negative. You know what I mean? It's just one wonderful thing after another.
Yes.
But every big project just has a terrible amount of problems that need to be solved.
Yes, but yes, I agree with that. And I think that the thing that I maybe like is that I think I enjoy crisis. Like I enjoy barriers. I like seeing like, oh, here's the restraint, here's the narrow window, the pass that we have to move through.
Yeah.
And to me, those are always great challenges. So if, you know, there's a no because of budget, or there's a no because this person can't do it, or there's a no because creatively enough people are like, I don't think this way is a good idea, or, you know, then my feeling is, keep figuring out either how to do it, or, I mean, we had an idea in the show that I don't want to give this away. So we had this sort of thing that was a block of ideas that was supposed to be a segment. And as we kept approaching it, it was like, this segment just isn't working, right? And you have to be honest with yourself, right? And go, this is not working. But the individual parts were interesting. And then we had this other unsolvable problem, not unsolvable, but we were looking at how do we make this, we want to make sure the telethon elements are in, you know, because it's Make America Great Thon is the special, right? And so we're sort of doing like a little hint to John Ritter's Americathon with the Jerry Lewis telethons, but telethons are boring, right? So we don't want to have a boring show. So we want to make sure we hit on the notion of the telethon, but keep it sort of within the framing of our show and keep the pace moving. And what it turned out was the thing that was difficult for us when we unfurled it and then placed it in the telethon model, it worked.
Yeah.
And so those are great problems to solve. And I love that stuff.
Well, you were talking about this before, Gail, that the restraints always bring out creativity too, right?
Yes, that it's the idea of the 5 obstructions. It's like the more freedom that you have, it becomes overwhelming. So if somebody says like, oh yes, you can do whatever, and here's all the money you want, and whatever you want to do, and then suddenly there's like this intimidating feeling of that. But then if you say it has to be this length and it should be kind of in this theme, suddenly you start to go, well, how can I push the walls and make it, you know, it makes you feel it out.
Necessity is the mother of invention. You know,
and it's odd right now because it seems like Netflix is helping people make the worst movies of their career. You know what I mean? Like they're just going, hey, there's no boundaries whatsoever. And you know, you turn it on, you're like, what is this?
Yeah, it's sort of a diarrhea of content. You know, I mean, in the sense that like it seems so unrelenting. There's so much, and you'll find like gems, like there's that Wild Wild West doc right now on the sannyasins that is so interesting, because I like talked to my dad. We were watching it, and I talked to my dad, and I was like, "Why do I feel like I know about this?" He's like, "Oh, my buddy. Remember my buddy? He was a sannyasin. He followed Rajneesh." And I was like, "Oh, that's right." And I'm remembering that he always used to wear all like auburn clothing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I actually am a neighbor to this idea." But within that, I think it's so overwhelming. And I think that unfettered idea that like, if you are given all the money in the world and you, have every option available to you, you better have a real sense of stability and maturity to assign your limitation.
Yeah.
To say, okay, I have anything I want. That means I have to say, I'm going to figure out then what my barriers are and make them for myself, or find a creative partner who's going to make sure to assign those boundaries, because there is nothing, there's a reason. I mean, we exist because the infinite is an impossible thing to conceive of. So in just basic metaphysics, we manifest to, ground the static, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're all static, interchanging between each other without any boundary. So we assign ourselves into material boundaries so that we can understand the distinction, right?
Yeah.
That's like Alan Watts. You know?
That's the whole
universe is eyeing.
Right.
You know?
And that's why always the thing of meditation, you're like, it's nice, but we're supposed to be here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're not supposed to be everywhere at once.
Right.
Maybe you were before, maybe you will be again.
Yep.
But right now, just try to be yourself for a while. See what that whole thing's getting.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. I mean, talking about meditation, I think people, I never understand is, one, people go, well, I tried to meditate and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I didn't totally, leave myself or whatever it is, dissolve myself. And like, that's like someone saying like, well, I tried to run, but I couldn't run a marathon. So I just gave up. And the whole idea of meditation is, it's at least mindfulness is to actually witness your distraction. It's to measure and exercise your brain's capacity for returning to focus. And it's simply a conditioning act. It's a conditioning act to keep saying, come back to the breath, and make it about the breath, not about the dithering mind. And then hopefully that will duplicate itself or replicate itself in other experiences where you can have the ultimate achievement, I think, especially in improv, which is what I primarily do, is to figure out how to exist in a couple of different temporal states at the same time. There's the performing state, which is at real time that the audience is witnessing. Then there's mind time, which should hopefully be slower so that you have options within your mind that seem almost like there's more time to decide them so that you can pull them into the real time performance. And then there's your witnessing time, which is the sort of above all of that, in which you're sort of watching or understanding the beginning of the show, the end of the show, and all aspects of it from the bird's eye view. And if you develop your mind over time, you can sort of bifurcate and trifurcate it into a number of different things running at the same time.
Yeah, it's more than we can even take in, though. Like, I remember having that experience of being on stage and thinking it's something very fast. And when the audience is laughing, I'm like, that's fast, man.
Yes.
How did I think that fast? I don't think I did. You know what I mean?
No, because you got out of your own way.
Yeah, you got out of your way and let whatever that thing that comes through.
Yeah.
But the second you start to go, hey, how did that happen?
Forget it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the middle manager. I call that the middle manager.
Yeah.
So my grandfather always used to say to me, if you want to get something done, just go to the top, right? Don't deal with the middle. But your ego self, your ego construct, right, is in effect the middle manager at a Best Buy. It's the person that you don't want to deal with. Yeah. It's the one who is the most rote. Yeah. And so what happens is that when that middle manager, who's there for a reason, they're there to protect the store, they're there to handle customer complaints, right? They're there to make sure the shelves are stocked. That's not a person who's a particularly creative and open person. By design, they're not. Yeah. Right? So if that is in your mind representing the part of you that does the basic maintenance of like, don't shit yourself in front of people. Don't say this crazy thing, make sure you eat food, right? Then that one isn't the one you want to be having pitch ideas to you. Yeah. But the middle manager stays right in front, blocking the sort of more creative chaos behind you. So your conditioning is to tell the middle manager it's okay to step aside. Right. No one's going to rob the store. Yeah. And so that you have to design a relationship with that part of self. And most people don't. They let the middle manager run the show and they think that they're the boss. Yeah. And they're not.
That is, that's fascinating. You brought up your dad. Tell folks about your dad a little bit, because you had a pretty unique childhood with him, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, my father, was in a band called C Train with, oh God, I'm forgetting his name.
By the way, this was a band of such great players. I mean, it was phenomenal.
What phenomenal the hell is the lead singer? I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, Peter Rowan, is that it?
You got it, Chris?
I'm looking.
So this was the first band produced by George Martin after the Beatles. And so he toured with them. He was bouncing back and forth between San Francisco and Boston. He met my mom. My mom was doing the touring company of Hair in 1969 or 70.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so they hooked up, and I guess essentially they sort of hooked up, but then my dad ended up moving to Boston and sort of settling in there with my mom, and then I came along. And my father, left music and went to work at my family's paint company. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people go, "Oh, he must have been so disillusioned." It's like my father's like, I loved it there. I loved the paint company. I had a lot of fun, but I also think he wanted to go, back into music. And when my parents separated, my father, had sort of his maybe little bit of a midlife crisis a bit and sobered up, and then went to Nashville, and he restarted his career in his early 40s. Which I find funny that I sort of got my career really going in my early 40s. And he, which I'm still in. So he started playing bars. I mean, my dad it was a model for me. My mom and dad are both models for me in terms of work ethic and art and just pursuing it. But the way I see my father doing it, as he's the subject, is that he was, this was a guy who had toured nationally, and he's in these kind of podunk bluegrass bars in Western Massachusetts, just slugging it out. And he made the jump to Nashville and worked, and he ended up with Emmylou Harris and the Nash Ramblers.
Fascinating, man.
And then he moved on to Alison Krauss and Union Station, Alison Brown, he's played with Shania and Jewel and all those folks. And he still, plays Monday nights at the Station Inn in Nashville. You can go see him.
Yeah.
And he still tours and does his thing. And he played on our Christmas special.
That's so great.
So this was a dream of mine, because I have a photo. You can see it's in my header on my Twitter, which is me at Letterman at the NBC studio, sitting at Letterman's desk with my dad standing over me from 1990. And so I used to go with my dad to watch him play on talk shows.
Yeah.
So the notion that I had a talk show and I had the opportunity to have my father play was like a dream come true. It was really just amazing. Of course, I tried to announce it during the taping. And so I'm like, during the taping, I go, my dad's here. And, and I start to say what I just said to you. And I'm like, my dad used to take me to Letterman. And I start bawling and cannot get through it. I forget that the mic is on. And I walk off stage. I'm like, you get it. And I walk off, and I'm like, fuck, I fucking cried. And they could all hear me. The audience is laughing. And so it was pretty bad.
Perfect.
But who was it? Who was
Peter Rowan?
It's Peter Rowan. Peter Rowan. Okay.
But I'd love to get you guys in together sometime, or we'll take the show out to Nashville, because we have studios there, and let's just sit down and go over those stories. Because first of all, to me, that time of that he performed with C Train, it was one of the most interesting musical times. Ever. And I think we all understand the smartest thing you could do is step back, particularly when you're starting a family.
Yes.
And everyone is just career minded, but when you're more life minded, you can pop. And when you're talking about, things don't happen to you in your 40s, it's the last thing that you want to hear when you're 20 or 25.
I know.
But it's the healthiest thing that could happen to you.
But
my God.
You can't really get that through, because I remember feeling just utter panic then, because I just started to think of people I know who got their shit together at that point.
Right.
And it didn't matter the amount of people who were like, hey, I didn't find my thing until I was in my 30s or in my 40s. And you're just like, shut up. I'm supposed to find it. And it's panic.
Well, we design a world. I mean, we designed our society to, we've had this sort of accident of, intersections, I think, between sort of the marketing world, the advertising world, the corporate predator world, of sort of designing a place where we want that market to be the buying market, right? And so therefore we're puffing up their experience and saying how adult they are and how significant their voice is, and of course that's true. I mean, look at the Parkland kids. Look at what youth can bring to the table in terms of its vigor and its intelligence. But at the same time, I think there is a difference. It's almost like there is something about the 20s where it's maybe also biological, of a sense of this self-imposed, everything's the most important. You've got to get it done. If you don't do it, the whole world will crack apart. And I think that there's a predatory nature to how we approach people in that age group that I think creates an even worse dynamic for people feeling like they're failures because they haven't achieved it all within this age range, right out of college and sort of into the world. And then in addition, Twitter and Facebook, but Twitter really too, has also, I think, magnified and given voice to the sort of inconsistent thinking of your 20s.
Right.
So we have this platform that is, and it's not even Twitter really, it's the news media that takes Twitter so seriously and is enhancing this somewhat sophomoric thinking that creates these sort of like, I'm not ever going to follow that person. We shouldn't watch that show because this thing happened. And,
right.
And this is the most important thing this time. And that to me smacks of in my 20s, that vacillating you do where this is the most important thing this week and this is the most important thing next week. And I don't think that that's how we should be driving our thinking is by
right.
the guidance of the most sort of inconsistent period in your life.
Yeah.
You know
right,
what I mean? It only gets better as 30s, like 40s, it just cools out and it's so much better,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I was, we were talking about this the other day with my dad when he became a grandfather. He enjoyed, I'm not saying it was even better, but he enjoyed being a grandfather way more than I could see his tension as a little kid. I'm like, this guy really working hard at everything.
Right.
Huh?
And like the idea of like the pressure of like, I need to teach you the lessons.
Right.
And if you mess something up, we got to fit. And when you're a grandparent, you're probably like, this is great.
This is hilarious.
There's kids around. This is so nice.
Probably. Yeah. And I think it is also like I have the second stage responsibility. They have to deal with them.
Right.
Yeah.
I can come in and visit and like I know my friend John Gemberling who played Bannon on the President Show he has two beautiful kids and so I will go visit and I love the notion of being they call me Aunt Tony. So Aunt Tony comes to visit and I love visiting and it's fun, but I also get the best part. I get to hang, play around, make fun of them, make fun of their dad, and then I get to leave.
Right.
As opposed to, being in the thick of it, which is I think a very different experience. Which I don't have.
Your show with all the constant changes taking place is also, there's never been a time of comedy that I think that has been so focused on one guy. You know what I mean? There's been no, we try to remember how much did we pay attention to even Obama or Bush or Clinton. It seemed like it was more of a
Bush joke happened now and again because he would say something and everyone would go, that's ridiculous. And then we would kind of focus on that. We'd probably talk about it for a long time.
It seemed like
it wouldn't be until he did another one. Then we would kind of talk about it. It wasn't like multiple.
Relentless.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I feel like the closest comparison would be the Clinton Lewinsky scandal at
right
height.
at the end. Yeah.
At the end. That was probably the closest to saturation.
That was a fever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, it's interesting. This conversation's come up like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 days. And, it's something to think about, which is there's partly, I think that, it's hard because, of course, I'm want to defend my own program, right? But it's like the thing I think weirdly we do is that because it's coming from his perspective, we actually sort of check the box of him early, and we can then go into all these other things that we want to do and explore that aren't they're adjacent to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, in a weird way, skirt around that somewhat. I mean, obviously the show he hosts it, so there is that. But I think that there is an issue with what's wearing thin, I think, is the surprise at what Trump does, the outrage and anger. It's not wearing thin like, oh, I'm over it, but it's getting sort of tiring or exhausting to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I do think, though, that it is a bit of a false narrative, which is there are plenty of things happening in the world. And I think sometimes, especially in media, there's this weird disconnect where, whether it's cable news or it's late night shows, there's this sort of like, well, we have to. And the thing is like, well, that's not really true.
Right.
If you decide to drive the narrative in another direction, even if it was 1 or 2 days of a cycle where people kind of go, well, what's happening? Why aren't they doing Trump humor? People adjust really, really quickly to whatever you give them. So this chicken or the egg thing is happening where especially cable news is like, well, what can we do? We must do it. And it's like, no, you're making a cynical decision to do this because it drives viewership. And that's why some days it's slim pickings and you're finding things that aren't even that egregious and you're just making them the marquee.
Yeah.
And I call it, it's ethic. There's a difference between ethical intelligence and ethical dishonesty. And ethical dishonesty to me is remember a couple of weeks ago, in the morning, they showed that Putin video that Putin released of the missiles over Florida.
Right.
And it was like a cheap sort of computer animated video. And the news in the morning cycle was like, Putin releases threatening video. Can Putin strike the United States? And the thing that's so interesting is by the end of the day, when no one's really watching, right? The story sort of comes out, okay, there's a Russian election. This is a video from 2013. He's posturing for the election, and there is no great secret nuclear submarine system that's running around. It's not Hunt for Red October, there's an ethical dishonesty there, which is that the news is presenting this thing with full knowledge of the context. And as opposed to opening the story saying this video is released, Vladimir Putin is making sure to puff himself up for his reelection, which is already, the story there is the lack of democratic election. But that's not sexy. What's sexy is scaring the shit out of people and making them think nukes are going to hit Florida. And I wonder who and when or how this sort of the same way with Facebook. Cable news, and I love how cable news is pointing so many fingers at Facebook right now. They are the same thing.
Absolutely.
They are totally disingenuous. They are run by a corporate arm. They are making profits and scaring people and driving fear for consumerism. And it is absolutely abhorrent. And nobody is checking them.
And in the meantime, no one's down just to go, here's what Puerto Rico is going through now.
Yeah.
We're not making it. And this is what it's like to spend a weekend in the south side of Chicago.
Yep.
This is why these problems don't seem to be able to be solved by generations of people, because that's the stuff that you would think if you wanted to be a journalist that would drive you to that, instead of he tweeted this and this person tweeted that.
Yeah.
And they're it's crazy.
It just made me think that is because last night Samantha Bee did her special about Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And they focused on that. And it's kind of one of those things that, with the kind of late night shows where we talk politics and then someone says, oh, that's where I get my news. And then we're like, oh, that's kind of dangerous. It's not. But it's weird because in that way, shows like yours, shows like Samantha Bee's, kind of delve into specifics that news does not, which is weird.
We're more research. I mean, you have most comedy shows now have research departments.
Yes.
We know, I know for a fact that our show, when they were doing the payoffs to Stormy Daniels through those shell companies, we had a copy of all of the campaign spending receipts early last March. And we were going through and noticing things that didn't make sense, like money that was paying out to funeral homes in certain cities and things that didn't make sense to us in terms of why the payouts were happening. And there was a couple other pieces of information that we were able to dig up and put forward that were easy to find that were not being reported. And I think that a lot of shows like this, and John Oliver included, are working very hard to try to present information that is accurate, because we're doing jokes about it, and so we want to make sure we're not being called out for making a disingenuous joke about something that isn't correct. Daily Show is doing the same thing, and so when you have that, I think that we have more of a we see ourselves as having more of a responsibility because of the joke, whereas Howard Feynman was a senior political advisor to our show, and Howard is a true reporter. Okay. And so there are people who are on cable news who are clearly do want to report. And there are many people who work in that industry. We know this for this industry, that it's also like we work in this machine and as the cogs, we have a certain sideways responsibility, but at the same time, when your paymaster is saying this is what you do, you're trying to fit yourself into that box, going back to limitations. But then what's sad is that there's cropped up this pundit class that's totally uninformed, that are scrapping to get hits on networks, on cable networks, just to put forward their agenda. So like lobbying has weirdly entered the cable news
It's
world.
very, very, I've never heard anyone say that before, but that's dead on.
And so it's disturbing. And the only way I say this, and every time I appear on something and nobody, it's still, I mean, maybe, that like all we have to do to have the clearest, easiest separation is to stop for-profit models for news.
Right.
Separate the entertainment division from the news division. And that's an easy fix. It will just stop the profit-driven motives, and that removes entertainment executives from working in news divisions, which is just absurd.
Yeah.
So, these are not hard fixes to get information for. And people clearly look at Netflix and look at the fact people watch documentaries. They watch frontline style stuff and binge it all the time. So the idea that there isn't a market for deep dive information on news is crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. So this is a design. It's a slot machine design. MSNBC, CNN, Fox are just like the phone games where there's no real payoff, but then you keep like buying stuff to play the game.
Yeah.
This is what cable news is. It's a slot machine. It keeps you sitting there waiting for the next payoff of the next thing. And so I feel like there's this movement towards sort of subhuman behavior of triggering only the amygdala for human beings and stopping the connection between the prefrontal cortex and our processing of information and doing a direct lizard brain dump. And I think that it's very dangerous. And I think Trump is obviously a whole part of that.
Yeah, and they're all. But I agree, everyone's all in on it. And I would love to say I stand back from it, but I leave the news on.
I do
I'm doing
too.
stuff all the time, and I'm looking over and like, what happened? And that's addictive behavior.
Yes,
that's
it is.
literally addictive behavior. It's no different than if you're like, hey, when did I put this porn app up? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it is. It is. I'm in the casino too.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you sit there and it's like you're the guy at the slot machine going, this is really bad, but you're pulling the machine. So it's a hard mix,
Thank you so much, buddy, for stopping by. Congratulations for everything.
Thank you. Make sure to watch the President's Show Tuesday night at 11 p.m. on Comedy Central. We've got so many fun guests. And I can say that we have Kathy Griffin playing Kellyanne Conway with her first appearance on a narrative television show since last year. So
That's
we're
great.
really excited to have her back.
All right, we'll see.
And Griffin Dunn.
Yeah.
And Griffin Dunn is playing Robert Mueller.
Who's my favorite actor of all time? Just
He's
literally-
incredible.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Incredible.
Anthony Tamanek's been in studio. The Make America Great-a-thon, a President Show special, airs Tuesday, April 3rd at 11 p.m. on Comedy Central, featuring Kathy Griffin and Griffin Dunn.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Is Bennington.
He's got Christmas thing. We're watching Vito take a Chris meltdown. Bennington show.
Hard on yourself in there.
Well, the thing is, he's trying to figure out if he can go to the Ron Bennington's Going to Connecticut tour this Saturday. I'll be appearing at over one city. There's a one-stop shopping, 7 o'clock show, and then a 9 o'clock show.
It's at Fairfield Comedy Club in Fairfield, Connecticut. FairfieldComedyClub.com for tickets. That's this Saturday, March 31st.
And it's FairfieldComedyClub.com?
FairfieldComedyClub.com.
And it's a little tricky because it's spelled exactly the way it's pronounced. So
That is tricky.
Be careful of that. We were supposed to do 2 live reads here, Vito. And what happened?
I didn't realize we were doing live reads coming back. I'm sorry.
You mean nobody told you?
No, I was not made aware.
I threw up the Universal live read.
I didn't give you a thumbs up, though.
But we have live reads, right? You have the agenda in front of
I
you?
didn't know we were doing them coming back. I mean,
Okay.
that's
You're right. It's
communication.
my fucking fault.
You guys, live reads are supposed to be fun.
I know. I love live reads. I love them.
Here's what I feel like. This was a bombing mission, and you let us go right over the target.
Good. Drop in the ocean.
I don't mind, but who's to blame here?
It's Vito. Vito's to blame.
I was focused on training my lovely intern Carly, and I didn't look.
Oh, it's Carly's fault now.
Oh, you're trying to say it's Carly's fault.
Pass in the buck, Vito.
No, I'm blaming Carly. I'm just saying I'm out here training interns. And I should have looked at the screen.
I'm glad.
Why don't you guys just use human communication?
Well, I did.
Language.
Yes. I try to use language, and I assumed he thought that we knew.
Did you get the thumbs up?
I didn't get the.
You know you get the thumbs up, right?
I go like this. I go right into the little camera next to me, and I go thumbs up,
Really
thumbs up,
creepy
thumbs up.
when he does that. It's like it's looked like he's working at a gas station. He's gonna get shot in the back of the head.
Can I just? This is just something that's been bugging me for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a camera in there.
Yeah.
He has a camera here.
Yeah.
But when Chris wants to say something to you, or when he's frustrated with you, or whatever, he looks here.
Yeah.
And I don't. Is there a camera up there?
There's a camera behind you. I have the screen to see Vito to my left, but there is a camera above the on-air light.
That's your camera.
Dude,
That's
I
my
have
camera.
like it's always been like, but why doesn't? Because Vito looks into his screen where his camera is, and I always see him looking behind my head and going like this, and giving like an angry face, and I was like, "What'd I do, dude?" And then I look behind me, and I'm like, "Well, I don't see a camera."
My camera's over here.
It's very strange for me. It's a weird
Are
thing.
these cameras recorded? Like, could we go back?
No, this is just a live stream.
And the reason is because the communication can't be worked out between the two rooms.
Yeah, because it's just because I can't see him from this spot.
But why aren't you talking to him? You both have headsets.
I can talk to him, but he can't talk to me.
Or won't talk to you. Like any bad father. You want us to just do the live reads here?
You can do one live read here.
Have you ever spent a night on 100% organic cotton sheets? If you have, you've probably never slept better in your life. Boland Branch makes the softest, most comfortable 100% organic cotton sheets that you will ever sleep on.
Because they only sell them online, BolandBranch.com, their sheets cost less than half of the designer brands and are twice the quality. Hundreds of thousands of Americans love Boland Branch sheets, including 3 U.S. presidents. You won't believe how comfortable 100% organic cotton sheets can feel until you try Boland Branch.
But don't just take their word for it. You can sleep on Boland Branch sheets risk-free for a month. If they're not the most comfortable you've ever slept on, send them back for a refund. Plus, if you order right now, you'll get $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping with a BolandBranch.com promo code. Bennington. That's it. Spell it out right now. BOLL and branch.com, and the promo code is Bennington.
BolandBranch.com, promo code Bennington.
Oh, boy. They're nice.
Mm-hmm.
They are nice. I say it's like sleeping on a dream. That's how I describe it to people.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Like a good dream, right?
Is there such a thing as a bad dream? A bad dream is a nightmare. That's what Chris sleeps on. Some old fucking newspapers and a raincoat that he took off a dead person.
They weren't going to need it again.
That's disgusting.
It's really gross.
That person was found after being dead for 5 days.
Just throw that in the wash eventually.
What wash? You've never seen a wash. I bet we could take you to a washing machine right now and you couldn't start it.
Oh, I've had some trouble with washing machines before.
Yeah, running away from them.
I've tried to have a conversation about the nuisance of laundry with this staff, and then as I was talking, I was like, oh, these people don't do laundry because they either send it out or have moms that do it for them.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, never mind. I was talking about on how you're catching up on the weekends with your cleaning and your cooking and then your grocery shopping and doing dishes that you forgot. And they're just like, what do you mean?
Chris would rather stab himself in the neck than do laundry.
It's the fucking worst thing in the world. Folding clothes, fuck that shit.
Yeah, we can tell by that shirt, that wrinkly shirt that you have on.
Folding is the horror. It's not really throwing it into a machine.
If somebody said, how would you describe Chris's style? And I always say, just fell down the steps. Because it's wrinkled, but there's also some blood and some oil smudges.
Yeah.
Lots of oil. Look, I dropped my clothes off with Kim, and he does a mediocre job with them.
I realize too, now that we're talking about your clothes, I do enjoy it so much more when you're out of the dad shirt. Then he comes back into the dad shirt, and I just don't enjoy it. Yesterday was great.
He shops at a store called Unfuckable. A place where no one will have sex with you if you wear this.
What I'm saying is you could dress a little sexier in the studio, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Show a little more skin. You know what I mean?
I want to be sexy for you guys.
Thank you.
I'll open a couple buttons.
One thing that, the
Please
dad
button those
shirt
up.
stinks. Just walk around in that wrestling fucking tee that you wear. 1930s wrestling.
But I liked that little long underwear shirt you were rocking yesterday.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Vito, do you still wear the 1920s weightlifter tees? Look at that. They both wear these things.
I think Chris won't admit it, but it's because your belt, as a bigger person, your belt digs into your tummy. So I wear it to block that.
Is there anything cuter than he said tummy? Into your tummy.
There's never been an adult who said tummy unless talking to an infant.
I get tummy aches.
This is I would say this is not just disappointing, it's heartbreaking. I was very excited with all of our guests today. Nick DiPaolo was booked for Right Now, and Nick has come down with a life-threatening stomach flu.
Oh, my God.
But what was Nick going to talk to us about? Did he have a plug?
Yeah, the Nick is Right tour, which is happening right now. You go to nickdip.com for all of his dates.
But where's he going to be this weekend? He's going to be somewhere cool.
Yeah, he's going to be at...
in Boston?
He's going to be in Massachusetts at a theater. I'm going to get the exact name. He's going to be at the Regent Theater, Arlington, in Arlington, Massachusetts. That's going to be tomorrow night. Go to nickdip.com for tickets.
I'm in love with Massachusetts.
I hope he comes out to that.
You know that song, Chris?
I do not know that song.
You don't?
Roadrunner.
Oh, yeah, Roadrunner. Okay.
I was going to say, I was like, we always sing that all together.
Written and performed by Nick DiPaolo. And give his dates again for this weekend, because I hope he's done with this life-threatening stomach flu. He's dehydrated to the point from his own diarrhea that he may not awaken.
The Nick is Right tour is happening right now, and Nick's performing at the Regent Theater, Arlington, in Arlington, Massachusetts, tomorrow night. nickdip.com for tickets.
I didn't even know there was an Arlington, Massachusetts. This is exciting news for me.
Everything's different
But
now.
the Roadrunner's out this weekend, Chris.
Roadrunner.
Right?
Yep.
Chrissy, don't you think?
Yeah.
Roadrunner?
Your favorite song?
I know. It's my favorite song.
It's Nick DiPaolo's theme song. Hopefully this weekend.
Nick's performing at the Regent Theater, Arlington, in Arlington, Massachusetts. That's tomorrow night. nickdip.com for tickets and all of the Nick is Right tour dates.
And if you're a praying person, please drop to your knees right now and pray to sweet Jesus that he will cure Nick of what Chris Stanley tells me is a stomach flu.
Yes, a severe stomach flu.
Life-threatening?
Life-threatening, yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, full-on dehydration.
Look, I don't want to waste any time here. If there is going to be a funeral, I got to get on. I got to be... See if I can just get... Even if it's 5 minutes.
Okay.
In between Norton and Colin Quinn, preferably. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't even know what I'm going to open with.
What?
Hillary Clinton once said, and then I pause as my cankles ache. Yeah, because that'll go over well with that.
Yeah, they'll like it.
And I'm going to end with watch Roseanne. Thursday nights at 10:30 every fucking week. We're taking this bitch back. Nick is hilarious, and we just, what was it yesterday? It's like, can you move me up? Can I be in this?
Yeah.
Because who do we got coming up later on in the show?
Later on, we have Giulio Gallarotti coming in from Fat Baby at the Stand.
A lot of people coming in. You know why, Gil? Everybody wants to do that Bennington show. Everybody
trying to get up and hurt.
Everybody.
Oh, Chris, that wasn't as good.
What? Was it? I thought
we
it
were
was
having
good.
fun with it.
Yeah.
Then you said that weird way.
You came across as
I mean, how do you say it?
racist.
Everybody.
No.
I thought that's how it
It's
sounds.
supposed to be a special needs person.
You might not make it about yourself when Nick DiPaolo is suffering. And if he goes now, it'll be one of the most well-attended funerals of all time in the New York comedy market. And I like to say this. I'm not saying I want to do 15. I want to do 5. And I want it in a sweet spot where everybody's paying attention. I could go on after Voss, but then I can't sit down because he invented sitting down.
And you don't want to follow someone who's just reading a Bible verse. Like, you want someone to reset the room for you. You know what I mean?
I want somebody to kill.
Yeah.
And I'm milking their killing. Because my first minute is, let's hear it. Keep it going for Norton, everybody. How about that Jim Norton, right?
Ow!
Am I right?
Yeah!
And Chippa, big anniversary for Chippa. I got the radio on. Radio on. Well, this was supposed to be the DiPaolo years.
I know.
By the way, I noticed my titanitis is getting worse as
Really?
I've been blasting too much rock lately.
Yeah, you have been about the rock.
And right now, it's hurting me. I just hear this thing. I hear Marcus Hulk right behind me at all times. I feel like there's a giant plant. You all right, Chrissy?
I'm great. I'm good. I'm feeling strong.
All right, so put up that thing. We tried to bring it up with Tam and who, by the way, I love that guy.
I love him too, and I'm glad to see him. He's been so busy with his new show. We have not seen him in a while. So
he's a very smart guy. He's a very funny guy. My favorite thing is he's talking about being a waiter once. And he goes like this. So I step outside to smoke a joint, and I snow capped it. You know, when you put a little coke on the end of it. He's very comfortable with it.
It was like not that pertinent to the story. You're like, as you do.
Yeah, but there was a little gleam in his eye as he brought up snow capping. So go to the little girl who did not know how to use a rotary phone and the way her grandmother treated her.
What you mean, what is that? That's a damn phone. What you mean, what is it?
How you use it?
What do you mean, how do you use it, Ari?
It got letters on it like you can text, but you can't text it.
You can't text on that damn phone. You ain't never seen a phone before. That's all that damn technology.
How?
You dial the numbers, Ari. What do you mean? You gotta dial the number. It's a phone.
So you do this.
See, you all don't know technology. It's a phone, Ari.
7, 0. That's how you do it.
No, you don't. What are you doing? Pushing your finger in the hole trying to dial? You gotta spin the wheel like Wheel of Fortune, girl.
How?
You put your finger in whatever number and then you dial, Ari.
So 7.
No, you have to take it all the way around. What's wrong with y'all kids? That's a phone.
I don't know how to work it.
What did you say?
I don't know how to work it.
What do you mean you don't know how to work? It's the telephone. How do you work the telephone? You dial the number. What is the area code?
7.
You don't put. What are you doing?
I'm trying.
Show me how you dial on that phone.
7, 0, 8.
Girl, you don't just put. You have to spin the wheel. You put your finger in the hole and you spin it around. Yeah, now spin it all the way around. You gotta pick up the receipt. How you gonna call somebody? Nobody's gonna get through with that, Ari. It's a phone.
Ari. First of all, let's stop for a second. The grandmother is the worst teacher.
I know.
You can't yell at someone. Like, you can't teach someone that let's say you're trying to teach them to drive a car. You can't go, it's a car.
You drive
it. Ari.
It's like she's the worst teacher. Ari's the worst student because she has no even passion or frustration. She's just like, can't do it.
Can't do it. What is it?
How do you text on it?
It's a phone.
Ari. Now, like a rotary phone, even still, by the time I knew how to use one. Some people still had them, but they were pretty much gone. But they were around enough. But the thing that I think is really weird is that kids don't know what a dial tone is.
Right.
And that's really strange. So I had seen something where they were playing the sound for a kid. I was like, what does this sound mean? And they're like, what do you mean? What does it mean? They're like, if you hear this sound, what does it mean? And they had no idea. And that one was a weird one for me because you're like, oh, they literally have never grown up using landlines at all. Like they don't know.
They don't have any idea.
Right. Like Ari didn't even know she had to pick up a receiver first, let alone like dial a rotary.
She did not understand that the phone is just not one piece. And why is there letters on there? My
how you text on it.
My initial, when I was a little kid, the first thing that I learned was Hubbard 5 4184. And then we called it HU 5. And then after that, people just start using the numbers.
Wow. When did that, like, because that was 60s, like early 60s, they were still doing that?
60s and 70s.
Yeah.
They were still saying that.
On early episodes of Seinfeld, he said his phone number was Klondike 5.
Klondike 5 was a very big New York thing. You'll see it through movies and TV shows forever. Klondike 5, fall 184. And that was like where the bank of things, that was the receiving station. But also when I was a kid, if you dialed long distance, the money shot up like there was no fucking tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I get even just thinking about that, like, it reminds me of being on the phone with my grandparents and them being like, well, it's long distance, so I just want to say hi, and like trying to get off the phone. Like, long distance was like a thing. You did not, like, you didn't want to talk more than 2 minutes to someone long distance. And now with cell phones, it's like you just call everywhere, anywhere.
I was living with a girl once, and our long distance number was the biggest expense that we had because she was on the phone all the time. And I'm like, this is costing more than the car payment, than the fucking thing. Yeah, the long distance was gigantic back then. And then they would do stuff like if you called after 11, you get a deal.
Yeah.
And then remember, it would have been when you guys were little kids that they had those 900 numbers that you could use for long distance.
Yeah, those were
and that was the biggest way that young celebrities would make money. They would represent different 900 companies.
Didn't Carrot Top do one of those?
Carrot Top did do one of them.
Call ATT or one of those kind of things.
Yeah, where you dialed it before you dialed the long distance number, and they gave you like a deal on the.
And that was aimed using Carrot Top. It was aimed right at college kids because when you went away to college, you know, you got sad or you missed your family, and you know. Your family like, look, I know that you're homesick, but it's a lot of money. Man.
Never call here again.
Why don't you write me a letter?
You won't get it for days.
Got the radio on. And now it's free.
Yeah.
Long distance is the same as any call.
Yeah, there's no...
Although your phone bill is what? A couple $100 a month?
About 100 and change, yeah.
Yeah, with everything that you have?
Yeah,
you don't even have everything.
Yeah, no, I don't, no.
When I went to football camp, that we had to bring calling cards with us.
Calling cards were a very big thing.
That was very big.
And also, that would be a thing that people would do in urban areas where there would be stolen calling cards, and you would sell them.
And calling cards are still big now, but just international. Like in my neighborhood, there's always like the Bengali guys just fucking buying tons of calling cards.
The what guys?
Bengali from Bangladesh.
Eric in Atlantic City.
Hey, Ronnie, be $1 million.
Hey, thanks.
Listen, the 555 area code, or like you're calling it Klondike 5, never existed. It was a fictitious area code that the TV stations used to use.
Yeah, because what happens, they would use the initial... You know, they would just use the phone number, and then people would get called.
Right.
Yeah,
and
but 555, you'll hear that like in Happy Days. Remember the hottest chicks were from the Klondike 5 area code.
Yeah. So that was in all the old movies. Klondike 5?
Yeah, Klondike 5. But you were saying a minute ago that it was a New York City number.
I'm going to send you into the pretty good prize closet, my friend.
Thank you, Ronnie B.
You belong there. You belong there with the stars.
Enjoy.
You knew the Klondike. Klondike 5. Do you remember that 8675309?
Jenny. That was Jenny's
That fucking
number.
guy got sued too because that was just like a phone number that would exist in different area codes. And those girls would be treated like, I'll just say it, cum sluts. They were just sluts to come with.
There's like a couple, I don't know, it was like, you would never do it now, but there was like a couple songs that you like would have phone numbers. Like I remember Beechwood 45789 or something like that. Beechwood 46789.
And remember Pennsylvania 650. That's the actual number to the Pennsylvania hotel right across the street. To this day, it is.
Yeah.
Right across the street from Madison Square Garden, the place that a doctor was thrown out the window while on acid. Check out that fucking scary documentary.
Wormwood?
Yeah, Wormwood.
I saw that.
Were you scared?
I was pretty scared, yeah.
Guess what? I didn't stick with it.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and it was like 6
I watched
episodes.
the first one.
Yeah. I think I went 3 or so. And I'm like, I know. I get it. He's dead.
Yeah.
I can't bring him back, no matter how much I watch.
Fucking guy got dosed.
Again, Netflix, do whatever you want. Okay, my documentary is going to go on a whole season.
Yeah, it's
fine.
Documentary is going to be a TV show also.
Hey Tim, what's up? Whoops, hold on. What's up, Timmy? What's up?
What up? What up? Chris, you did it wrong.
You won't.
Why won't you just go
when you
with the
break the
bit?
bit, right? Then we can't go on and keep doing it.
I thought I was doing it correctly.
You know that you weren't. You know by saying that you're not. Guess what? You're going to lose your mic privileges. I'm going to take that mic off because that bit could have went on for the rest of the show, and then you could end it with your and you know what I mean. But it's got to fucking breathe. You're BL anymore.
I know.
You're literally the BL of radio. And guess what? She used to be the BL of radio, and then everyone decided she was nuts. Tim, I'm sorry. I just had a mental breakdown. Chris is fucking me up. I got a big tour coming up. Ron Bennington is going to Connecticut tour.
Nice.
Yeah. The
Stop
road.
fucking everybody up, Chris.
The road's a beast, you know?
The road
It's
is
a beast.
fucking hard, but it's also really fucking tough.
You know what? But the road is also my home. You know what I mean? My road is the home, and my home is the road. You know? I just live out there. I live in between the towns, really. You know? On a steel horse I ride. Want it! Dead or alive. 2 shows. Saturday night. You know what is odd is those people, they get to go back to their home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've got to go almost an hour and a half.
I know. On the road.
That's Saturday night, March 31st, 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Fairfield Comedy Club in Fairfield, Connecticut. FairfieldComedyClub.com for tickets.
But just another day on the road for me, Chris. Another truck stop, you know? What's up, Tim?
Hey guys, when I was growing up in Chicago, that
Chi-Town?
867-5, something like that.
When did
867-5309 went through to a recording of the band.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, that's cool.
Smart idea. And you just heard the
And
song every time you called it?
No, it's just like, hey, this is Tommy Two-Tone. You know, thanks for calling. Thanks for listening to our song.
This is Tommy Two-Tone. Don't know why the second single hasn't caught on. Seemed like it was just as good. Why don't you say who our guest is?
Giulio Gallarotti is coming in studio. His show Fat Baby happens Thursdays at The Stand in New York City. Tonight features Ari Shaffir, Nikki Glazer, and Roy Wood Jr. TheStandNYC.com for tickets, and on Twitter and Instagram at NotJulio.
That's a fine show, huh?
Yeah, very nice.
All right, right back with him, Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. That was If You Want It, You Can Get It by Lil Young Big, a.k.a. Giulio Gallarotti. His show, Fat Baby, happens Thursdays at The Stand in New York City. Tonight features Ari Shaffir, Nikki Glazer, and Roy Wood Jr. Go to thestandnyc.com for tickets, and on Twitter and Instagram at NotJulio.
I had to tell you, that looks like a big budget video.
It did. Well shot.
Yeah. Well, so my friend James Manzello, who has this sketch thing he does called Handsome Dancer, they make awesome videos, and he's just kind of like a hands-on sort of like wizard of making stuff. We were making this other video for that character. It was like this art thing, this like fake art exhibition, and James was in it, and he heard this song, and he's like, "Dude, can I make a video for that for you?" I was like, "Sure, man."
Yeah.
So, so we shot that, and that character kind of exists on his own on the internet.
But that is what's expected out of comedy now, too, right? You got to be able to perform not just on stage, but whatever these strange videos are.
I guess, right? I mean, I guess so. I mean, it seems like that because it's easier maybe just because like it's such a like crazy thing to just wait for people to give you stuff that you kind of have to like try to do something on your own as best you can, I guess.
And then maybe they'll go, hey, look, people are hitting whatever.
The hope is that like they come to you one day and they're like, all right, what do you have for us? We're ready to try to let you do things.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
But if you show them this video, they're going to run. They're going to be so frightened of how odd that is. And yet, stunning women. Beautiful women in that video.
Yeah. Malia, she's cute.
So tell people about Fat Baby and how good everything that's going on with that.
Cool, yeah. So it's this show that my buddy Benny and I started doing like a while ago, 5 or 6 years ago, at the Lower East Side at this bar called Fat Baby, that no longer exists. And they let us do a show there on Wednesday nights. And it was one of those shows that started as like a 7 p.m. show. And by the time we were done doing it, it was starting at like 11:30 on a Wednesday. And it was kind of like known for being thank you. It was known for being like a party show. So people would kind of come party. So we'd cycle through groups of fans, or like not fans, but groups of regulars who would come because they couldn't handle it. Like they'd come for 6 months and then they'd be like, dude, I need to like
take a break
because I'm going to die or something. I don't know what they were doing, but regardless, I was like, all right, whatever. So then the guys at the stand, like Paul Italia, he was down at our show on a Wednesday and he's like, this show's great. He's like, you guys should come do it at the stand. We were like, all right, awesome. So for a while we were doing them back-to-back nights, Wednesday night, Thursday night. It was like kind of a lot. And then now we just do it at the stand because Fat Baby the bar closed.
Right. But you guys have even had some heat down there. There was some trouble with the local police.
Yeah. So I wasn't there this night, but the stories are pretty epic. I mean, the last show we ever were allowed to do there, it was one of the Josh Weston. It was his birthday. So it's like me, Benny, Ricky Velez, Josh Weston. We all do that show together.
Yeah.
And so Josh, it was his birthday, whatever. And apparently a couple of the comics were like smoking something outside or I don't know what was going on. But this girl ended up punching a cop in the face or like kicking him, like something insane. And they're like, yeah, guys, sorry, we can't do the show anymore. It was like, it was a comic too. It was like, Jesus.
But you were always, the push was always stand up, right?
Yeah.
More than the...
For that show?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a stand-up show. But that Wednesday show, it was not a good venue for comedy. So like, it was funny to see like good comics come in and not do particularly well, just because you'd have to do a certain thing. It's hard to explain, but so it was hard to. It was more people would come for the environment more so than the comedy. Like something very bizarre would happen every week, and it wasn't even our planning it.
Yeah.
So people were kind of like would come for that more than the comedy, and then there'd be a party after or whatever. So.
But you couldn't exactly bring Jim Gaffigan into that night, and you know.
Well, you could. I mean, we had some weird things. Like we had like Ted Alexandro come, and he's like kind of like low energy, and usually that wouldn't do so well. And like 5 minutes before he walked in, literally like 50 rowdy high school students walked in, and then Ted walks in, and I was like, oh my god, I started having a panic attack. And then Ted just goes up and just murders, and these kids loved him. They're like, we love you, Ted. And I was like, this is a classic Fat Baby thing to happen. So, like, I don't know. Like, Gaffigan could probably come in and do incredible. Like, you never really know what's going to happen. But we had some people who would come in and do really, like, Hannibal Buress would come a lot and do really, really well. And, some people were just better suited for the room than others. But it was bizarre for sure.
Well, the show that you're doing tonight... Give those lineup names again.
Fat Baby tonight at the stand is with Ari Shaffir, Nikki Glazer, and Roy Wood Jr.
That's gigantic comics.
Huge,
They're great.
yeah.
Giant headlining comics should be charging a lot more money for that show.
That's true. Well, the stand. I mean, shout out to the stand for that because they just have like great comics in their pocket. You included. I know you come by a lot.
I don't know how that works, but it's always interesting to me that Roy Wood wants to go out and work every night, or Nikki Glazer wants to go out and work every night. It's stunning when you think about that. Right. Ari just had that gigantic double fucking special, and if he's in town, he'll just do sets.
You would think that would be an okay time to downshift, but I guess comedians do not do that. Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah, it's true. It is impressive, and like I always. I'm impressed seeing how like focused they are. Even when they come through the show, they have like they're working on their stuff before they go up. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Rarely hear Nikki or Ari ever do the same thing, and they're both on the show a bunch. Roy has not as often, but Yeah. So
well, I was just talking with Roy not too long ago. His work ethic is almost not good for you. I would say. I would say if you can't enjoy your life now,
yes.
You know what I mean. You're on Comedy Central every night. You've got specials. You can tour. If you're like, oh, I'm looking over my shoulder. No, just relax a little bit. Enjoy.
Right.
Nikki was just telling me that her favorite thing that she's ever done, radio. She said, this is my favorite project. I go, it won't be that way.
Because it's new.
Everything feels that way at first. I really miss really enjoying it, Gail. When you first got here, you're like, can you believe this? And Chris are like, yeah, man.
It's crazy.
That's how I was that way for a long time. And I was like, and everyone comes in and we have the best guests and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And now you're just like coming, you're like, fuck. Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck is all of this?
Why is John Goodman here? Fuck. Was he going to talk about Roseanne again? We get it.
That's coming back, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was
back.
Oh,
it happened this week.
Oh, wow.
It was gigantic. 18 million people watched.
Wow.
And then because she is pro-Trump, Trump called her and said, thank you for everything that you're doing for us. Can you imagine
That's crazy.
getting a call from any sitting of president of the United States who just went, great show last night.
Thank you for your service.
That's why everything, even a sitcom, is now political. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right. He has that effect.
But yeah, like, even, I mean, because obviously that show always, they're coming from a certain class, so that, like, that was always an element, is like a working class family. But now it would be weird if a working class family, if it didn't address.
Yeah, but they were a working class family that was pro-abortion,
They are
pro-gay.
They are still.
And yet also with the president who isn't.
Yes, which is so weird. So they still are like that. Like they're still, I mean, like Aunt Jackie's supposed to be a nasty woman.
Look what he just says right here. Trump just said, I have achieved more than I promised. That's fucking...
What?
Outrageous.
That is
He
fucking...
promised a wall. Yeah, a huge
Nonsense.
wall.
Oh, look, there's construction workers sitting behind him. And the sign that says, an even stronger America. All right. We're getting it.
All right, buddy.
We're getting great again. Can't wait.
Hilarious.
Well, I'll tell you, you kids might not have a future, but I had a past. So one of us should be happy. Like literally, if you could say to any young person, would you like to go towards the past or towards the future? I don't know how many people would choose the future. Seems too fucking scary.
I know. And that's a new thing for me. Like, I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
I'm used to things kind of being, I mean, like, I was growing up in the 90s. It was so, everything seemed so, like, docile and chill.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that was just in my brain, but I look back on the time, it was very, like, calm.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. Obviously, 9/11, things. But then Obama, everybody was like, seemed like everybody was feeling good, at least around here. And then all of a sudden, it's like a weird shift to see how polarized everybody is. And even, like, I'm sure you guys feel it. It just feels like a lot of tension everywhere.
Right.
Everyone's walking on eggshells. Everyone's so offended. Everything's an issue. It's crazy.
Well, I was telling people this, and people don't believe me, but I had a comedy club in Florida for years, and I'd never heard a joke that the audience would go, ooh, and you hear that constantly in a fucking comedy club. It
very
never existed. That I only remember from like second grade when a kid would say something back to the teacher and everybody would go, oh. Now adults do it during their nighttime entertainment. They think something naughty just happened.
And like it would like pop up on like kids sitcoms, like a Full House or whatever too.
Yeah.
Like that would happen there.
That would be like if DJ got to French someone. Though.
That's hilarious.
But it was a relative. But why do they do that? And it should be pointed out every time.
It's a weird
You're
sound.
advertising yourselves.
That is weird.
I always find it like if somebody says something and and the audience does that, I'm like, do you really think that this comic living in New York is anti-gay? You know what I mean? Like, there's no chance of that.
Right.
You're seeing the most fucking progressive people on stage, and that they still make you nervous.
That's true, and that is actually the thing that comes to mind first. That people are noticeably more sensitive about is the word gay.
Yeah.
I've noticed, like, I've even tried to like take it out of jokes where I would normally say that, because I'm like, people are going to get pissed. And like, people have sent weird messages to me, and I hear other comics tell stories too, like about how people are like, you know, you're not acknowledging whatever, like non-binary, by people by saying gay, it's offensive or whatever. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is. And you're like, but you can tell that I'm not saying, look, first of all, this is a city that when people were gay, let's say 45 years ago, fucking cops would arrest them. You know what I mean? Like this is the time to ever be gay in the history of the planet, other than a couple years during the Roman Empire. You know what I mean? Where it's pretty well
great time for
but
them.
But there's
then.
not a lot of pressure. There's no one, like, I don't know if there's a family left that if the kid says they're gay, somebody would disown them. I can't picture it.
Right. I don't know anybody like that either. Yeah. I agree.
But for some reason, it's making people more nervous than ever. And I don't think that the audience wants to be seen as laughing at a joke that later they could be judged for. You know what I mean? Like the whole reason to go out to a club or any club was to do shit that you weren't doing in your regular life. To dance, to fucking party, to fuck strangers. That was you didn't live your life that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't like try to bang everybody at work. You banged everybody in a nightclub. You didn't fucking say those things during the daytime. You said them at night at a comedy club. But now everybody, I guess it's the social media. It's got everybody on edge 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And it's also, I mean, this doesn't really happen to me, and hopefully it won't, but like sometimes I'll be thinking about, should I say this? Yeah. Should I not say this? I'm like, no one gives a shit what I say. Right. But like, I feel bad for the people who they really do give a shit what they say, because they literally have to probably send their tweets to their lawyer before they tweet. You know what I mean? Besides Trump.
Yeah. But that's not, but self-censorship is the worst kind of censorship, because now you're afraid to follow your own ideas. And even if somebody is alt-right, what's the chance that they're making even a slight dent? That's why I'm always laughing at political arguments. You know, whether me and my brother-in-law, the rest of the world doesn't give a fuck who's voting in what direction. So it's just it's expression just for the sake of expression. You don't have to fucking worry so much that the whole world is going to change.
Yeah, it's true.
Chris, you're fucking alt-right. You're white supremacist, anti-Jewish.
No, yeah, and I'm a self-hating Jew, because I'm 20% Ashkenazi Jew.
What percent?
20% Ashkenazi Jew.
And you found that out how long ago?
I found that out about 6 months ago, I think. Yeah. And then like
DNA test, which
23andMe. Did you do that?
Yeah.
It was my heritage. That's 23andMe.
Yeah,
but they're all the same. And then and then I'm like 30% like a gypsy. Like Baltic, like, like Lithuanian,
like a Roma gypsy.
The Germans hate it.
The gypsy,
yeah. It's a fucking miracle I'm even here.
You're a chicken thief. You're the type of person to run down the street with chickens.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Wow, that's crazy. Those are literally like the two most persecuted groups of white people.
So I feel great about myself now.
And what's the other 50%?
And the other 10%'s like Eastern European, just like generically.
That's the same as gypsy.
Yeah, exactly. And then 40% Irish.
They were persecuted in their own way, by the English. So English people hate you, no matter which way you look at it.
The English and the German just
An Aryan looks at you, which is weird that you're a white supremacist.
Yeah, that makes it.
That's
really
how it works.
strange.
Projecting.
Yeah.
Deep and confusing.
Self-hating.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Makes sense.
Giulio Gallarotti's in studio. His show, Fat Baby, happens Thursdays at The Stand in New York City. Tonight features Ari Shaffir, Nikki Glazer, and Roy Wood Jr. You go to thestandnyc.com for tickets, and on Twitter and Instagram @NotJulio.
You were out last night with Rachel Feinstein. You guys are up in Connecticut. How'd that go?
It was great, man. Yeah, she's been really good to me. She takes me, she's taken me on a bunch of stuff over the years. It was cool, but it's funny. At colleges, I noticed, especially, they're really unpredictable with what they're going to be weird about.
Right.
They're just like the frontier of being PC.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily feel it that much last night, but in general, when I do colleges, I'm always like, I have no idea what jokes are going to work. Literally no idea at all.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I just start feeling old. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, when I was, and they're like, dude, you're a loser. I'm like trying to like connect to them.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh man, when I was your age, they're like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah. We don't do that anymore, man. Dude, bro.
Yeah.
Spring break, huh?
Yeah.
But why do you think that they are the most PC? Were they raised in the schools that way?
I think it's because they haven't yet experienced the things they're learning. So like they learn, it's like very idealistic environment this is some theory I'm just making up. But like, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Like college kids think they know everything and then they actually go work and they're like, oh shit, like I don't know anything and this sucks. I should have appreciated college more. My dad's a professor and he teaches at a super like liberal school. And he always says, he's like, these kids are so liberal that they're becoming liberal fascists.
Right.
It's kind of true. He's like, you cannot say anything or you're appropriating someone's culture or some shit. And I feel like college is like, it's great for that also, but then obviously too much of a good thing is not great also.
The appropriation of culture is my fucking favorite thing now because it's literally what's supposed to happen with culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's literally like, oh, we had this Chinese food and we infused it with this.
I know. When I was
came out
a
with
kid, like the amount of what would now be perceived offensive things were like, we're all going to dress as Cherokee Indians. Like, and like that, we were like, we're really, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, we, or like, we would be like, today's German Day.
Right.
So like, that was part of my education as a child.
Yeah, me too.
And so it's weird that now, it would be the opposite. Like, for example, like this, I'm telling you this, it will be the swing. The college I went to had a music festival every year that was called Culture Shock. Now, originally, when Culture Shock became a concept, it was to like have world music and different cultures in one place, and then you experience all those cultures. Then it just became like cool bands we could get. But then they kept the name, and that was like a weird thing. Now, I would feel like that same college would be like, we don't want to shock people's cultures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now they would be like, yes, you should have only, like young alt bands or whatever, because that's appropriate for you. Like the original idea was supposed to be offensive because they whitewashed it.
Right.
But now it would be like, I guess that original concept is offensive because we would be experiencing other people's cultures, and that's offensive now. I don't know why.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah.
It is nuts. And the whole thing of like, well, that's black music. I'm like, so is everything. You know what I mean? Like
it's all,
any kind of music that has a beat, we got from black people.
It's like, I'm sorry that I love your awesome music. Like, I apologize for that I know the words. Like, I'm sorry. I want you to like me so bad. Why do you hate me?
We should go into pizza places and go, is this just for Italians? Could everybody have this?
Yeah, get out of here, buddy.
Because that was always the point, was to take your culture to other places and make money off of
You're
it.
far too pasty to be eating pizza.
Yeah.
So
well,
funny.
then you can't drink our whiskey. How's that sound? Nobody gets anything. There's no travel whatsoever. Blame it on boats. Before boats, everything was pretty locked down the way it's supposed to be. I remember Peter Gabriel was one of the first people that they hit with that, Paul Simon, because they would go to Africa to pick up those beats and bring it back.
I like that Paul Simon face.
But the thing is, it is an introduction to that. Then you could go off and follow those people that you never would have heard of before. But I guess no one should leave their home now. You going to plug, Chris?
Yes, I am. Giulio Gallarotti's in the studio. His show, Fat Baby, that happens Thursdays at The Stand in New York City. Tonight will be Ari Shaffir, Nikki Glazer, and Roy Wood Jr. TheStandNYC.com for tickets, and on Twitter and Instagram @NotJulio.
And who do you consider the Fat Baby guys? Because you're bringing comics in and out. But
well, the like core group, it's me, Ben DeMarco, Josh Wesson, and Ricky Velez.
Yeah.
And then we have like other people who are like part of it as well, who've like come and gone, whatever. Like Molly Austin is always on all the shows at The Stand. Danny
She's
Palmer.
great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're awesome. And we have this DJ Ouija, he calls himself, who's a guy who just used to come to our show on Wednesday every week. Yeah. And then one day we needed a DJ, and he's like, all right. And now he's like a DJ. That's like, he does that now for other people too, which is awesome. So that's cool.
Bill, was Ricky the first one to blow up out of your...
Yeah, Ricky probably has the best career, I would say, for sure, out of all of us. But it's weird. It's like one of those things where like one of us will kind of make it, kind of like every couple of years changes. So like somebody will kind of like make the big stride, but then another person will have their big pop moment. And kind of like, I feel like that's just kind of how it goes in general. I would say that Ricky, since he's done like the nightly show and stuff, he's definitely consistently like been making the most money and doing the most shit.
He's really crazy funny, and He to me always reminds me of an old school guy too. Like he reminds me
I
of the
agree with
New
that.
York that used to exist.
I
in New York.
fully agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. You see that in him very much.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons why he's so funny. He has a great perspective because he's such like a strong opinion and strong perspective, and it's like very unique to him. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He's comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chris, do you feel like you even lived in that New York for a while? The New York of the movies?
Like I remember like the 80s somewhat. Like I remember like the old Times
Yeah,
Square.
that's what the last time. I think the 80s where you could really say, hey, we're either going to see a movie or get killed. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it's going to be a fun day.
And like the early 90s also. I remember
Yeah.
feeling being a little dodgy.
Yes. Because there was always that gray area that took place.
Yeah, and when like I remember my parents took me to Six Flags on a bus. Then we took the bus back to Port Authority, and a guy pulled a knife on my dad outside the Port Authority.
Wow.
And there were no cops around. The guy didn't get arrested. My dad just was like, "What are you gonna do with that fucking knife, motherfucker?"
Right.
'Cause he was like, "I don't give a fuck."
Right.
But his wife and child were there, but nothing happened. We just walked away and got on the train.
But see, that defense, there was always this big. And you're like, oh, New Yorkers are scared, but they would have this big giant, what? Like you suddenly act like you're the crazy person.
Yeah.
The victim used to pretend that he was a maniac.
That was the strategy?
Yeah, that was the strategy. So someone goes, oh shit, I just tried to mug an insane person. So every New Yorker used to explode on the street, and it still happens.
Bikers, especially,
Yeah.
act really belligerent, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Sticking up for themselves.
Yeah.
I just opened up a fucking thing today, and a biker was. I'm getting out of a cab, and a biker's screaming, and I'm like, I'm in the back seat. I don't have a rear view mirror. You know what I mean? I have no idea. I'm leaving a fucking cab.
Yes.
Don't tell me this little path is yours.
Also, at this point, I mean, you see a cab pull to the side. I mean, I think we all know where this is
you're
going.
Yes,
I think,
that's
you know what I mean?
thing.
Like, I think that you've got to figure it out at this point. I'm sorry that it
hate
happens
somebody on a
sometimes,
bike.
but the fucking bikers are so fucking
true.
annoying.
They
in
are
this
annoying.
city.
When I see a biker get hit by a car, I don't clap, but inside I'm like, yeah, that's one for fucking us, man. They're doing it. They're taking the city back.
That's so funny.
I don't know why they ever thought it was a good idea that bikes would be. First of all, they run every fucking red light, every
I know.
single one.
And I've been hit by a bike as a pedestrian,
Really? Yeah.
which really sucks.
Yeah.
It's really painful.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are flying.
Yeah,
Were they going the
they're
right
nuts.
way at least?
No, he was going the wrong way.
They always do that. That drives me nuts.
So his defense to me was, he was like, you were crossing on like a don't walk. And I said, but that's because I was looking up a one-way street,
Right.
waiting to be like, oh, good, no cars are coming. And then you hit me because you're going the wrong way down a one-way street. Why would I
Right.
even look up that way? There's no reason for me to look.
He was mansplaining wrong
Yeah.
way on the one-way street on a bike.
All right, we're wrapping this up.
Yes, we are.
Thank all of our guests today first, Chris.
Okay, well, first, Giulio Gallarotti's been in the studio.
Well, you're going to go backwards and we end with.
Yeah,
Giulio.
that's
You know
a
what I mean?
better
We're gonna
idea.
do it
I get a double
in the
shout out.
Show business way.
Okay. I'd like to thank Simon Pegg. He was in the
Simon
studio.
Pegg.
Ready Player One. It's playing in theaters now, in theaters everywhere.
I think it's going to be a hit. I really do. I think this Spielberg guy. I'm glad they're getting.
He's
the
got
word
something.
out. I didn't get any of it. It just looked like.
It's very overwhelming.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anthony Atamanik, the Make America Great-a-thon, a President Show special that airs Tuesday, April 3rd at 11 p.m. on Comedy Central with the Kathy Griffin and Griffin Dunn special guests.
And Nick DiPaolo, who's going to be in Boston tomorrow, but is suffering from a life-threatening bout of stomach flu
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
really
He
bad.
says it's going to be at least 24 hours before he feels better.
Yeah, he has the Nick is Right tour that's happening right now, and he's go to nickdip.com for tickets. And tomorrow night, Nick will be performing at Regent Theater Arlington in Arlington, Massachusetts. Nickdip.com for tickets. And Giulio Gallarotti.
Now where we are.
Here we go. We made it. So Fat Baby happens Thursdays at The Stand in New York City. Tonight features Ari Shaffir, Nikki Glazer, and Roy Wood Jr. TheStandNYC.com for tickets. On Twitter and Instagram at NotJulio.
All right, that's it for us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
bro,
so
for
much.
finally coming and did
Yeah,
that. I
man,
know
thank
we
you. I appreciate
talked about this before, but let's get it on a schedule. And we'll see you all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!